Hey, screeners, how you doing? It's myself, the one AJ, Anthony Jordan.
And me, Nicola. Shout out to my Nicoholics. Throw it up, brother. It's too sweet.
Indeed. We are back, guys, once again with yet another episode of the visual and audio podcast that is the Movie Mount Rushmore. Okay, guys. So last week we gave you films that the critics love and the audience hated, and of course we had to flip that some bitch round. And this week it's all about films that the audience love and the critics hated.
Why is your head cut off? First of all,
why is my head cut off? Sorry, I do apologize. I'm trying to get into the zone and I'm there. This is the part of trying to remember the visual side of the audio visual. You can't bounce around. Well, you can, but you just need to be a bit more contained. So I'm firmly sat here in a place where the lighting isn't as great and the rain and hailstones have got me looking to my left, to you guys right, thinking, what the hell is going on? Yeah.
And if you're listening to on podcast, that would have made no sense. Apologies.
Well, this is true, but you just know it's raining here in the good old UK, as my missus keeps saying.
No, I mean,
why are we having coming in?
I mean, your head being cut off.
Oh right, yeah, that part, yeah, okay. No, but talking about the weather, she keeps saying, why are we getting April showers in May? And I can't help but agree. Can't help but agree.
Bro, here's a madness. I was speaking to my friend in Thailand the other day, Takuya. We had a little Call of Duty session together, which you can check out right now on the channel if you feel so inclined. Go and enjoy. But he told me, and May, just for reference, is traditionally the hottest month of the year in Thailand. I think I've told you this before. May is when it gets to like 95% humidity and like 40-degree heat. So you're walking in fucking hot water. It's evil. Even the Thais are sweating in May. You know what I'm saying? Like it's whoo! And he said they've got October monsoon weather in May. Listen to Greta. Listen to Greta.
Yeah. Not good. Right. Yeah. Indeed. Pay attention, people. Pay attention. This is not good. This is not good. You know what? Sorry, bringing it back because climate change and global warming is something that we have to embrace quite a bit and just fear for. So once again, pay attention, people. But bringing it back to film and podcast. Help?
It's really simple. Just don't get plastic bags in the supermarket. That's the first step into doing the right thing. And it's an easy step to take.
There you go. Golden nugget from the Silver Screen Dudes. This is why you guys tune in. It's not just about films. It's not just about wrestling, which will be back. It's not just about video games. We'll give you a bit of knowledge into how to protect the planet, yourself, and others. Sign in every week, people. We're here. Right. Yeah. Do you know, coming back to the world of film, this was awkward because one thing I learned last week was it's very time sensitive. You come across pages and you're just like, does that work? Does that not? And it sometimes it throws you away from your actual common sense of, I know the world hates this. I know the world loves this. And then you start to find these sites and you start to balance it. There's a lot of cross-referencing that goes part in this one. What I've realized a lot with this episode, more so than last week, comedy is very subjective.
Oh, yes.
I knew it before, but I really felt it this time round. I was like, oh. And there was what I will say with this film this week, I had to protect my childhood in some areas, man. Like, how dare you throw the heat. Guys, if you are watching, I do apologize. Constant travel what I need to do is buy a light that sticks to the top of my finger as opposed to big studio lights, which are always a bitch to carry. It will make my life a lot easier.
Get one of those
ring lights.
Ring lights are good, but you could get. I think I've got one here. Hold that fire. Yeah, in my camera kit. Just one of these bad boys.
Do you know what?
Little cube. These are great.
I did have one of those. I did buy one of those. I may have to get your link for that one specifically. We won't mention them because they're not sponsoring us right now. But I did get one off of Amazon. Awesome. It was all kinds of awesome, and it gave me 2 shades of lighting as well, which made it even better.
Okay, so you see the colors here. It gives you all of these colors.
You are kicking my ass in terms
all
of
of these colors, It's got like disco setting. It's got constant light setting. It's got grading setting. You can set the hue. So even when you pick like let's say you go for a pink color, you can set how intense pink you want it, how saturated you want it, the level of hue you want it. So this is like 60 quid. It's
battery life.
Amazing. I did put it this way. I haven't charged this. I've done this last week. I did, I think, 3 photo shoots at 3 separate locations. Used this on every single one. Didn't charge it once. And it's still got, fuck me, full battery.
Do you know what? They may not sponsor them. Throw them up. Do you have their name? If you don't have their name, maybe you might find it in link below. Who knows?
No, I don't have their name. I don't have their name. Pixel Light.
Okay. Pixel Light. Okay, shout out to you guys. I did have one. I'm not going to diss any company, but the battery life just wasn't there.
The RGB video light. It's called the G1S by Pixel. It's 60 quid. Cannot recommend this thing enough.
Okay. Because right now, the reason for me being ultra dark is because I'm using the Samsung S10 Core.
Sorry, it was there.
I mean, I'm down with the joke. There might be a couple like Black Lives Matter, man. Like, just relax.
He does. Good. He's my best friend. He matters to me a great deal.
Indeed. I'm number 20, bitches. If you know, you know. Ooh.
Too soon, AJ.
Nah, but
too soon.
No, but jokes aside, So that's the reason at the moment, because I'm literally using the torch off my camera because overhead lights just don't do what I used to do what I needed to do. But yeah, man, this week showed me comedy is subjective and protect your childhood. That was my key things, and I'm sure there's a world of films I've forgotten.
Comedy is subjective and it check your childhood. There's 1 or 2 that I've brought up where I'm like, I legitimately don't know what the critics didn't see in this one, and it's not to do with comedy or subjectivity. Just before we get on to this week, what I found last week, especially on Twitter, shout out to fucking Chris Trengrove on this one. My God Almighty. I'll go through at the end. You know, I can go through it now, to be honest. But the exchange of words we had, it was like, Chris, let it go. Let it go, please. Just let it go.
Do a Frozen, Chris. Do it else.
Bro, he turned into Chris Trengrove, love for the guy, but he pissed me off this week. Like, he turned into the full-fledged Twitter police. Like, if you're listening, Chris, as I said, love for you, brother, and I love the fact that you interact, but calm down. Calm down.
I think.
Calm down.
We will be talking. No, we might as well leave it to the end because we're going to go through the comments around the same time as the voting, won't we? So.
Well, no, we're going to go through the comments for this episode, aren't we?
Later on. Comments for this episode should be now. No? Last week should be.
The comments we read out for the question I put out, and we do read out the comments. You're quite right. I don't know where my head's at. I'll leave it till the end. However, there is one person who I'd like to shout out who actually, this is where the YouTube video actually did quite well considering we've been away for like 3 fucking years. But there was, that big rant I had about The Last Jedi at the end.
Yes.
And you know that, like, I've said categorically to this day, there has not been a person who has managed to change my mind about The Last Jedi, because the criticisms I find for it are at best pedantic, and at worst pathetic, right? This person came in and actually, do you know what? This kind of a silver screen moment, because this person came in and actually dropped a piece of knowledge on me, and I was like, that I can listen to. That is a fair fucking criticism. And I'd just like to read this person's comment out now. I'm going to shout them out as I promised them I would. It's on our last video on YouTube, so you can go check it out. It's from Ryan Rain. Ryan spelled, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Ryan spelled R-Y-O-N and Rain R-E-Y-N-E. Silver Screen Dudes. Cool list ones. What's that?
Could be Rion.
Could be Rion. Could be Welsh. Don't know. We've got Rion Rain, Ryan Rain. Could be either. Anyway, here's your shout out, my bro. Silver Screen Dudes, cool list concept, guys. I really enjoyed this podcast episode. That is until The Last Jedi rant. I felt that the true point of hate was never brought up once during the whole argument being made, which is impressive considering how long it went on for. Fair.
That's what we do.
It's what we do. It wasn't surface things like power levels or the magic system that's the issue in Last Jedi. Now, so far, I just like to note that this guy is speaking my language because this, as I said last week, the shit about, I'm fine with unlimited power, but Luke doing a force projection, yeah, I'm not happy with that. It's like, fuck off, right? So he's saying it's not about that. So far, I'm listening, right? The issue is the straight up character assassination of Luke Skywalker. So he's starting to lose me here, but now he makes a very good point. Here's what he means by character assassination. Listen to this. You're telling me that the same man who gave himself over to the Emperor in the face of certain death because he sensed a glimmer, an ember of good left in his father, less than 15 years later is going to murder his nephew, his blood, his sister's son, a child, in cold blood because he sensed a conflict and a speck of darkness in him. Really? Really? And that's a fucking good point, which I have never considered to this day. And I'm happy to put my hands up and go, you know what? If that's where the hate from The Last Jedi comes from, I get it. It doesn't bother me to that degree, probably because I haven't considered it, but fucking well played. I'll just read the end of the comment out in the interest of fair play. Really, that's the true reason to hate The Last Jedi. If that one story beat, the character assassination of Luke Skywalker was removed, and the onus for Ben's turning to the dark side was put where it belongs, on Ben himself, then it would have been an acceptable movie. Not great, because Rey is the personification of a Mary Sue, which is the second greatest failing of the sequel trilogy. That I agree with. But perfectly watchable and even enjoyable if taken just from the visual perspective, because you guys are right. It looks beautiful. While the moral of the story is a fantastic message in that you don't have to be from a certain bloodline to be powerful, important, and a hero, the execution with the Mary Sue main character and the character assassination of one of the greatest fictional heroes of all time make this a bad movie/trilogy. There's no two ways around that. It's just the truth. Right. So I've always agreed with, I've said on podcast, to your face off, whatever. I know Rey's your girl. I've always said she is a Mary Sue. Like she can just, because she's Rey, do everything, right? That's always been a small gripe I've had with her. She's not the only Mary Sue in movie history. I've always been able to look beyond that and just, fucking accept at face value what it is. Luke became all powerful in fucking episode 4, being able to use the Force to attach bloody ropes to pipes and swing across chasms, magically use the Force to blow up the Death Star. Luke became powerful pretty fucking quickly. But what they did correctly in episode 5 is that they showed him to be fallible, right? Which is why the original trilogy is so damn good. Rey didn't get that same treatment. She was never presented as fallible in any way. That was a shortcoming. So the Rey argument I'll listen to all day long. This point, though, about... I think it's a bit of a dramatic exaggeration to call it a character assassination. I'd call it a deviation. It's not what we expected. And I'll still maintain there are things they did with the Luke character that I like. But that specific scene, that's fucking well played. To say that this is the same character who borderline sacrificed himself to the Emperor to save his father when he sensed good in him, and they do address that in Return of the Jedi. I can feel the conflict within you, Father. Let go of your feelings. It's all there, night and day. Is the same character who nearly strikes down his fucking nephew because he senses bad in him? That's a good point. That's a fucking good point.
I will never take that away, but knowing what your father done and the destruction that came with it for many generations, let's say, well, I say a generation at least, right, is also the reason why he thought the world can't do this again, and why he thought, should I? It comes back to the age-old question that people always say: if you could time travel, would you see baby Hitler? I think what was it? War Machine done it best. Would you just... Yeah. And it's, well, no, you don't. And that's what happened. He was at conflict. Let's be honest. There wouldn't be Rise of the Skywalker had he done what we are claiming he did in Last Jedi. It was a conflict within himself. Once again, and this is me saying it, and I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy, he says he understands and hates what the Force does because of the hypocrisy behind it. So much so that the hypocrisy nearly made him kill his nephew.
Ryan, Rion, comment section below, my brother. I hear your point, but AJ's just raised you one there.
I'm not opposed to it because it makes perfect sense, but he didn't kill him. But do you get what I'm saying? It's
bro. I'll listen to that all day long. What you've just said is part of my reasoning for why I don't call this an outright character assassination. They do elaborate on where his mindset's at, on why he's become the way he has. And he does eloquently break it down that the Force is kind of fucked. Like, it's a temptation device which has been the cause of more trouble than good, frankly, in the galaxy. He says this in the film, so pros and cons, man. Pros and cons. But
listen, it's a very good summarization.
It's a great point.
Yeah, I would never go against that. But I'd say never go against it. Yeah, I put a counter argument. I'm just showing, devil's advocate. Well, he didn't exactly kill him, so it's not the ultimate character assassination, as you said. And when you know that your family's a little unhinged, you question it. And let's be honest, this is daddy. Like, if we're gonna talk daddy issues 101, this was it. I don't have an arm thanks to dad. Like, you might question it. You might question it. And if you're, and I'm not a visionary, I'm not an expert on the Force, but if your vision of the Force shows that this kid will go into later on kill his father, sorry for the spoiler for those who haven't seen it, but we're also in the area of do I for the greater good?
Yeah.
So hey. He didn't do it. So yeah. Anyway. Okay, guys. So thank you very much, Mr. R. We'll leave it at that because if we're not too sure.
Ryan, Rion, whoever you are, mate, honestly, great comment. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And we appreciate all the comments as well. Keep them coming. And yeah, we, as you said, it's nice to be appreciated, to be, and that's not in a vain way, even though we're two guys making it look like we're on two cinema screens in one go. It's nice to be. It's nice to be welcomed back by the YouTube community. So thank you very much for that.
Very much so.
Okay. So as we said, we're flipping that son bitch round. And before we do go any further, Nico, would you like to tell the world what the movie Mount Rushmore is all about, sir?
I would, but just before I do, I'd also like to say Yusef, who is on YouTube at Ozoposi. No, sorry, I'll get that right. Ozopsy. He actually said that he would like to see that list we did last week done in reverse. So Yusef, here we go.
Is that who that was? I wondered.
Ozopsy's Yusef.
Okay. I had a peek. At the old comment section. So okay, shout out to Yusef.
Shout out to Yusef. Right. Ozopsy. Thank you very much. So how does the movie Mount Rushmore actually work? AJ and I each get assigned a topic. We go our separate ways and we come right back here into recording and deliver to you, the Silver Screen Dudes, our individual top 10s. This week, AJ will go first, delivering his bottom 3. I will then deliver my bottom 3. AJ will deliver his next 2. I will deliver my next 2. And then we will trade one apiece. If at any time, while we are rounding off our individual top 10 lists, one person has a movie in a higher position, that person will say,
punt.
And we will punt and talk about that movie when we get to the higher position. Once we have both rounded off our individual top 10 lists, we will create the movie Mount Rushmore. These are the 4 quintessential diverse must-see movies of the genre, which this week is
films the audience loved and the critics hated. Right. Okay. In at number 10, for me, I was ever so conflicted. There was 2 films, and it's down to the absolute grain. And I thought it's because this is more of a generosity bly on this one. I'm not going to say it's the world's greatest film, but I am actually happy that the audience leaned this way. And I'm talking Warcraft, which the critics gave 28% and the audience gave a 76%, which I was happy with, because what I find is we were talking about it just before we even pressed the record button. Video game movies can get a lot of hate now, and I think now some are very much. Yeah, we've done link belows. Go back. We've massacred the dude. That was character assassination. Anyway, more to the point. This film, I've never played Warcraft, and I remember I became like Warcraft enemy number 1 because I called it the ripoff. I don't even want to go there again. Well, screw it. We're starting off, so I'll finish. I called it the ripoff.
Lord of the Rings,
which essentially you can see links to the world. But hey, do you know what? Many things are a rip off Lord of the Rings. J.K. Rowling, we're looking at you. But anyway, we're not even going, but like we could go into many realms of this. But what I actually found, or should I even say we found, and correct me if I'm wrong, it wasn't that bad. It's just very unfortunate that you have to relate it to something that came before it. That's the only thing. But Do I want to see Warcraft 2? Probably not. But it was actually a fun, watchable movie with an IP, a world, a universe I was willing to embrace. Okay, because there are
I'd watch
areas.
Warcraft too.
I think I would, but what I'm trying to get at is there are areas where I'm like, okay, it wasn't the greatest film around. Let's get it, I mean, but it introduced. It's because, as I said, at points I felt somewhat alienated with the film. It needed to bring me more into the world to appreciate its world more.
Yes, yeah.
That's where the elements of it came in. That there was a challenge, but I think 28%. Essentially, if we always break this down into the world of tens, or even if you want to do it out of 100, you're talking 3 out of 10. That's
It's not. Yeah, that's unfairly low.
What
did we give it? I think it was somewhere like 6 or 6.5 out of 10. It was in that range.
It is above average. I think I was about 6.5. Right now I would jump in and be like, I gave it a 7. I really don't remember, but I do remember it's a good film. It was watchable. I needed to be brought in more because of the lore, the universe that your lore being LOR, not LAW, because the world is so big, and because you want to prove to me that it is entirely different yet similar to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
show me how and why. There was so much there.
The world building, I'm with you completely on that. The world building was not there for me in Warcraft, but I was still interested by what was going on. I was intrigued. I liked what I saw. I just wish I had more of an understanding of it.
There was just a bit of depth that was needed, maybe. Because it was an experimental film, because it was a video game movie, they couldn't get that extra time that they needed to bring it in, and I get that. But
bro, do you know what? You say that, but remember, Peter Jackson really broke the mold with The Lord of the Rings, because no one in their fucking sane mind, and this sounds crazy to say now in a post Lord of the Rings and Hobbit and even Harry Potter world, right? But this is real. Like back in the day, you were not given a 3-hour runtime per movie for a fucking fantasy film.
Oh, I get it.
Hollywood weren't giving you that. No.
There isn't really a reason for it to have not happened. Who knows? Budgetary reasons.
Like if you need it for the story, and it's not just there for fucking filler. Zack Snyder's Army of Darkness. I'm looking at you. Do it, because the one thing Lord of the Rings did brilliantly is that it built the world. Like, I'll never forget this. My mum, who has never ever read the book, loves the movies and completely followed what was going on. She got a bit confused by the fact that one thing has got 4 fucking different names: Nazgul, Ringwraiths, the Nine, Black Riders, yada yada yada. Right? She followed because even that opening exposition, it began with the forging of the Great Rings, 3 for the Elven Kings, yada yada yada. You understand what the fuck is going on. Warcraft, it was just like, boom, you're in. It's like, whoa.
This is the thing. But you can still follow the story. But it's like, you can't help but make a comparison. And I do apologize to the Warcraft fans who are going to watch me again and be like, you don't learn your lesson, do you? But think of it, guys. I've actually put it on a list. I've actually put it on the list to say it deserves recognition. I agree with the audience on this. The critics were wrong. And that's what I'm trying to show. Give it a shot if you've not seen it. Okay, it's not your world, but then it's not mine. But I took it in. I embraced it, and I actually wanted more. I needed to know more, and I probably would have gone higher in my rating had I got that.
Just to spare you your blushes in the comment section, would you or would you not want to see a second part? Because you kind of contradicted yourself there.
No, when I said more, I mean more from the film, which would have made me say
no. Right at the beginning, you went, would I want to see a second one? No. And then I was like, well, I would. And you said I would too. So would you or would you not want to see a second one?
I'm going to scratch my head. Because of how lost I felt, I said no. I'm scratching my head, though. When the film ended, I did actually think, I do believe I said I wanted to see what comes next.
Yeah.
So I take it back. In fairness, yes, I would want to see a Warcraft 2.
Cool.
No, I do take that back. I would. Now, moving on to number 9, which was a film I did want to see but more of, and we did get it, and I can't believe the critics done this. Sister Act 2.
Oh, snap.
19%. And a 61% audience view. Honestly, now I've had a lot of fun with Sister Act 2. I actually know more people prefer Sister Act 2 than 1. I'm not sure where I'm on the fence with that. Not a personal choice. But there is no chance in hell, not a single chance in hell, I would have given it 19%.
That's less than 2 out of 10. No way.
Yeah. No way.
No way. We're talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 levels of bad if we're going down that route. We're getting into Transformers territory. Basically, we're getting into Michael Bay territory.
Put it that way. But we're talking, and I'm not excusing it because of who it is, but this was Whoopi Goldberg in the height of her comedy era in the 90s. Sister Act done what it done. They brought it back. People wondered how it would be delivered. It wasn't her convincing nuns again. It was her turning kids around. And it was also like, I'm not going to go like, oh, it's a strong 100%, but easily 65%, 70%. Easy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
How you can give that film a 2 out of 10, I will never understand.
No.
And it's got Lauryn Hill, for God's sake, man. Like, Lauryn Hill's powerful voice.
Fucking Whoopi Goldberg!
I said that already. Like, all-star cast as well, man.
The argument ends there. Like,
yeah. I when I saw 19%, I was like, excuse me? You what? No. No way.
That's
no way. That was harsh.
Well played.
Was harsh. That threw me. It threw me in a way I don't understand. So,
bro, that's just throwing me. Hence, I have nothing to add. But what's your number 8?
Right, in at number 8, I don't know if you agree with this. Again, sentimental value behind this. I brought this up recently, so I don't know how it's come up again. It's not one of those films that will chronically come up. We're talking The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner, 34% and a 64% audience score. Again, we're talking 3.5 out of 5 out of 10.
You're talking about a singer who's not the world's greatest actress, and you're talking about a wannabe actor who's not a good actor.
I wouldn't call him a wannabe actor. He's just an actor who's not a good actor.
Kevin Costner is not good.
I know.
He is not good.
He's an actor who's not a good actor. I wouldn't call him a wannabe actor because then what is he?
Okay, fine. Be pedantic. Take my joke away from me. He's not a good actor.
What is he? A baseball field creator who builds it and they will come?
Yes, and that seems to be people's get out of fucking jail free card with Kevin Costner. He was in Field of Dreams. It's like, okay,
and let's be honest, if it wasn't,
he was also in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, trying to do a British accent. Go and listen to that one for a minute.
Oh look, there's Manchester. That's not how the banks talk.
It is made Marion. One sentence. Just do one sentence in English, please. Elijah Wood did it. He did it well.
There was also this thing that came up that cracked the hell out of me. That was like, no, it was the White Cliffs of Dover, wasn't it? The White Cliffs of Dover to Nottingham, yeah? And everyone was like, so he turned up during the day and made it to Nottingham, from Dover to Nottingham, by horse. In how long? Just do one Google map, people.
There's some fucking distance to that journey, even by modern standards.
Even with horsepower, we ain't doing that.
Really?
But by night, we should reach by nightfall. Oh, will we? On which day? But yeah, no. Going back to The Bodyguard, this is one of those sentimental films that I will always kind of defend, despite the. Okay, so all about the power ballads, but more than anything, it's one of those films I always watch with my dearly departed grandmother, who I lost about 19 years ago now, and it's one that we've watched time and time again. It's Whitney Houston as a singer, go figure, being protected by the man who was the Tin Man before Keanu Reeves, Kevin Costner, who is essentially the bodyguard. Right?
Tin Man before Keanu Reeves. Well played. Very good.
Had to be done.
Very good.
But he is literally just which I suppose helps for his character. No nonsense, no emotion bodyguard who's just out to protect her from this stalker who's out to kill her. So he's just got an eye and he's trained. And there is a subtle love story behind it of should they have got together.
Subtle? Subtle? Really?
As I said, it's about the power balance, man. But no, more to the point. No matter which way. And maybe this is a light criticism. I wouldn't give it 3.5. I easily, for me, you're at least a 6 out of 10. It's not the world's greatest movie, but it's above average.
5. It's 5 for me.
Even you were going.
5 on Rotten Tomatoes is still rotten, FYI.
I'm aware of that. Of that. But the audience have gone with me, and they've given it a 64%, which is even territory of a 7, which I think is more generous than I would have gone. To be fair, I'm 5.5 to 6 with that film. which isn't great. But on a list of, I was like, wow, okay. It didn't have the feedback that I expected the world to have for it. It had a #1 in the charts for forever. Like, wow, okay, there we are.
It is a great song. It's a fucking great song. I'll give it that.
For anyone who doesn't know, we're talking about Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You." But there we are. That was my
so good.
Sing it, bro.
So good.
Cool.
So
that
good.
was my bottom 3.
All right, over to my numero 10. Yes. Here we go. So you were talking about the concept of comedies being very subjective. Here we go, because this is a silver screen all-time favorite. And I typed this in just for shits and giggles, because like you, I saw a kind of continuity with the whole... Maybe we're wrong, because people don't like our comedies.
I'm gonna hit the fan in a minute, but like, go. Let me see what your number 10 is first.
Number 10, one of our all-time favorites, Rush Hour 2.
Ooh!
How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you?
Middle ground.
There is nothing middle ground about Rush Hour 2.
52%.
52% still technically considered rotten. That is
not
a rotten movie. That movie is gold.
Yeah, no. If you said Rush Hour 3, I would be on board.
What?
I would even go lower than 52.
Yes.
But 1
Rush
and
Hour
2,
3,
no.
You don't fuck with Rush Hour 2 at the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast.
No. That's a sin. Legit. Wash your mouths out with soap.
Yeah. I would even argue, let's just bring that fucking score up again. I would even argue the audience score is too low on that one. Really?
74%. We're talking just under 7.5. 7.5, 8. I can work with.
I'd go up to 8. Honestly,
bro, I'm on board. I am on board 100%.
You don't fuck with Rush Hour 2. You don't fuck with Lee. Come on, Lee. You don't fuck with Chris Tucker. Like, those two together are gold. That is lightning in a bottle what they did with that movie.
I want some Mushu. Mushu, you hungry? No, not Mushu. Mushu. Oh, man.
But maybe it's aged badly because there's a lot of fucking sort of, African and Asian jokes in it. They racial profile and stereotype a lot in it. But it's nothing hardcore. They're not dropping the N-bomb like it's going out of fashion. The worst black joke you get is, I'll bitch slap you back to Africa. It's like, brilliant. Because at the beginning of the movie, he says, don't fuck with me now, Lee. Don't fuck with me. I will bitch slap you back to Bangkok. They're not going for racial stereotyping. They're literally playing off of each other. They're mates.
And this is the thing, it's friendly banter. It's the same way as when I just apologized for being too dark. Your response was, because you're black. It wasn't like, how dare you bring out the yellow cards. Like, no, stop it, man.
Yeah, in it. It's all about intent at the end of the day. You've always said this, and I've always fully supported you on this. It's always intent, right?
I've always said it. Like,
you can't just veto the fucking English language because I'm offended.
I've always said this, and I won't use it. Screw it. I will use it, but I'm going to say the N. I've always said it.
No, you can't say it on YouTube.
I'm not going to say the N word.
Oh,
I'm just saying N. Come on.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were actually going to drop the N-bomb there. I was like, no, don't.
And furthermore, I typed in, forgot about Dre. They allow it there. Anyway, I don't want to get that removed from YouTube either. But anyway, more to the point. I think it was was it in Rush Hour? Someone could come up to me and say, what up, my N? As Vince McMahon once did on WWE, which is forever like, how dare he? But it was like, what up, my N? Versus, yo, N. Tone says it all. If you want to be... Sorry, I just had this flashback to a kid who watched Rush Hour. I mean, it is Rush Hour when they did. I said it. What's up, my... Yeah? The N word. And like, the guy was like, what did you say to Jackie? Yeah. I know this young kid who is of Afghani descent, and he done this to our friend Dan. He went up to Dan's uncle, who had a strong set of locks at the time. So, and he went up to him and said, what up, my N? And the guy said, what did you say to me? It was like, be careful. But again, I always say it. Yes, the N word itself, I understand the taboo behind it. To me, I listen. I've changed a lot in views because I've studied the history behind it. But I always say, if someone said it to me from a point of, dare I say, ignorance, but love, compared to someone who says it with the intent of the hate behind it, that's when I'm allowing someone to put strength in the word. I'm allowing. I know this is muddy waters, guys, and some people are like, no, how dare you, weaken the word. No. I understand the full hate behind it. I don't even use it as much as I did. But, and I say as much as I did because I still sing along to certain words. I'm not going to be like, now if you don't know, now you know. No, I'm not going to do that. Juicy shall be juicy forever.
It's not the BWA, you know what I mean? It's not the brothers with attitude.
Well, this is what I'm saying. And this is where it comes down to it. So, yes, the appropriation of it should not have been done. But again, I understand what people tried to do when they done it. They tried to take away the power from the oppressors and say, like, okay, now what? I'm using it all the time. Go on. What have you got next? It's essential sticks and stones. I get it. But, yeah, without deviating too much, no, there's not that much hate in Rush Hour 2. It's friendly banter.
You can't hate Rush Hour 2. You've got the fast-talking Chris Tucker doing his best fucking Michael Jackson Jamal imitation, and you've got Jackie Chan being Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
What the fuck did you think you were signing up for? It's a buddy cop movie with kung fu meets comedy. It's awesome.
Exactly.
What the fuck?
I always hate this stuff where it's like so Lily White, where it's like, oh, but I would never make such banter with my people. It's like, come on. We all know what banter is between each other. Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway,
there are things you joke about with your friends that you wouldn't necessarily joke about with your girlfriend or your sister or your mother. You know what I mean?
There we are. Yeah.
Right, number 9. I have slammed this movie a bit over the last few seasons on podcast, but it's been given an unfair treatment here. My number 9, again, it's one of your favorites, I know. Bad Boys 2.
Oh my god.
Innit? 23% critic review, rotten, 78% audience score. Now, here's the thing. I would argue that audience score is a little bit on the punchy side. Because this movie
8 out of 10 is a push. It's a push. I'll give it that.
It's near 8 out of 10 is punchy. It's not an 8 out of 10 film. It's highly fucking entertaining. It's bombastic action. The chemistry between Mike Lowry and can't even remember the other guy for fuck's sake because it's all about Mike Lowry. Marcus, thank you.
Is it Cordwell? He's Marcus anyway.
Cordell,
that's it. Yeah.
Their chemistry is next level. There are jokes in it which are fantastic. The plot is paper thin because guess what? It's a Michael Bay action movie. What the fuck are you expecting here? 7.8 is punchy. It's definitely fresh. Like I'd give this a good 6 to 6.5 out of 10. It's highly entertaining.
I could touch 7. It's weird, but that's 7.5. I would say you're generous. Bordering on 8, nah.
No. 2.3 out of 10, 23%. No, the movie is highly flawed, and the acting in some parts is not the best, and the villain is as paper thin as you like, and the ending is not the best. But you have to sometimes accept movies for what they are. You know, there are movies which are literally just designed to be bombastic action pieces, and they have their place in the world. And they shouldn't be poo-pooed on. I'd argue they should be celebrated.
I hear that.
I don't necessarily recognize their artistic merit, but they definitely put the E in entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, if I saw Bad Boys 2 on a big screen and I'd paid 15 quid for it, that $20 or whatever it is in the States, and I shoved some popcorn in my face and drank some Coke while watching that freeway scene, I would be entertained.
I think it's also, I haven't gone back to it to judge it now, but when I say product of its time, like, this is what we were looking for. This is the era of the Fast and the Furious and the explosions and the fast cars.
That's still going.
Yeah.
How I don't,
You're in now, but like, it's still going, but in that
John Cena in The Rock Part 3.
Well, that's if Hobbs is even allowed in, considering the hate that they have.
Why do you think they brought John Cena in? It's like, well, we can't get The Rock anymore. We'll bring in John Cena.
But I always
you just know that was the reasoning behind it.
I always say to myself though, if you really wanted Rock Cena Part 3, he should have been Shazam. John Cena should have been Shazam. That would have given.
Cena would have been a good Shazam too.
It would have been awesome Shazam, and Rock Cena Shazam versus Black Adam. That would have been all kinds of awesome. But here we are. We have the ever so all white American John Cena playing. Guess what? Jordana Brewster and Vin Diesel's bruh. Not even a hint of tan. Like, not even a hint. Not even like Hulk Hogan, like who has been under the tan in bed to be like their
Hulk
father.
Hogan looks at that guy and looks at John Cena and goes, "That brother's white."
Exactly. Like, where are we going with this? That this was casted. They were like, "Hey, yeah." So they're
fucking Sheamus looks at John Cena and goes, "Hey, you're a bit pale there in the skin, fella." You know?
Exactly.
If you know, you know.
This is where we're going with it, you know. Yeah, and it was like, okay, this is how Fast Nine's going. But no, Bad Boys 2, especially in the time that it was released and the market it was hitting out. I think it hit the points. I'm not ever going to say, oh my god, it's 100%, man.
No,
it's not fresh. It's not the freshest of movies.
It's an above middle ground action movie that's highly entertaining. Like, what's wrong with it?
So that's all kinds of hate. 23, you haters.
Yeah, 23. Look at that. Ridiculous, huh?
Bullshit. Sorry, bullshit.
It is.
No.
It is.
Your number 8.
Okay, my number eight. This one I kind of get, but I kind of don't. My number 8 is from the magical world of Jim Henson, and I bet you won't know that this is Jim Henson. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990s version.
I actually didn't know it was Jimmy, if I'm honest. I'm not surprised hearing it, in fairness.
Just bring those scores up again quickly so I can read them out to the people on podcast. It has got a critic rating of 40%, which is rotten, and an audience score of 81%. Now, this might sound crazy given that I just said Bad Boys 2 isn't meriting 7.8. I believe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, given that it released in 1990, is absolutely worth 81%.
It's a touchy one. You look at the timing and you look at the technology.
You look at how fucking accurately they brought the turtles to life. Because for me, that was Leonardo. That was Raphael. That was Donatello. That was Michelangelo. Shit, that was Splinter and fucking Shredder. They nailed it.
Yeah.
I will sooner watch this any day of the week over those two fucking abomination bollocks shithousery fuckfests that Michael Bay produced.
From defending Bay to knocking him right back down. Gotta love Nick.
Well, to be fair to Bay, he did not direct those two movies. He did not direct the two new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But my God, you can smell him. You can smell him on it. Bay. I don't like the smell. They are so bad, those new movies. Like, if you wanted to give those movies bad ratings, I'll listen all day long. This caught the spirit of the Turtles. Can you tell that they're men in fucking bodysuits? Yes, sure. Fucking 1990. It's 1990. Like, you go back and look at Star Wars in 1977 and people are, oh, but look how good that was. It's like, really? Go back and look at it. You can very clearly tell. I love Star Wars till the cows come home, but you can very clearly tell what's like painted onto a filter and then put in front of a camera, what's been badly rendered CGI. And let's remember, Star Wars since its release has had, I think, 3 or 4 digital upgrades, and you can still tell that it looks dodge, right? You accept it. You accepted it because it's of the time it was made in. And arguably, it's an even greater feat than what the Turtles did. It's fucking 13 years difference, you know what I mean? But to even attempt to make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, was it as, martial arts heavy and action-packed as, say, the cartoon series, which we had back in the day, or more recently, the TMNT Nickelodeon series? No, sure not. Because you can do things with animation that you can't do with live action. You disagree? The Lion King wants to talk to you.
And furthermore, being in those bodysuits, there's only so much you can actually do. Let's be real. Well, even if you had Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Jet Li and Ong Bak in those suits.
Tony Jaa, boy, you throw some respect on that name.
I was blanking. I was just thinking of 4 people at the time. But yeah, Donny Chow. Like, let's be real. You could even take those guys. To be fair, they probably could pull it off. But what I'm getting at is
in a bodysuit. I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Those with a shell on top of you, it's challenge and a half.
And having to use weapons. Let's remember, like these guys weren't just doing martial arts. They were, nunchucks and blades and daggers and kendo sticks and like no. It was. You could smell the greatness of Jim Henson on it. Like he recognized, like he does with all of his things, it's like, okay, there's a certain ceiling of what we can do within the scope of what we've created here. Let's embrace that ceiling, recognize it, and almost poke fun at it. Yeah. Because it's a B movie. It's purposefully a B movie. It's not fucking masquerading as an A movie. It's not trying to do what that fucking Bay franchise did, which is hide behind an IP, and he did it with the Transformers too. Fuck him. Hide behind a much beloved IP and don't care about the final product. This movie wasn't hiding. This movie was like, we're the Turtles. We know we can't do much. We're men in bodysuits, but we're going to have some fucking fun doing it. I commend this movie wholeheartedly. And it captured the spirit of the Turtles. You could feel each one. They had their personalities. It did it well.
It had its audience. Like, let's be honest, it's not, and I'm not saying, because it's made for kids, but you just brought their favorite cartoon characters to life. It done what it had to do. No one asked it to be the Oscar baiting movie of this was the perfect reenactment of what would happen if Turtles would become a hero. Like, no, it's not that. So I find that very, very harsh.
Way too harsh.
Yeah.
Way too harsh.
80. I understand where you're going with. Like, would I go maybe a tad lower, possibly, but no, I don't. No hate, man. Like, no. I respect it for what it is. I fully respect.
What's your number 6?
Number 7, even.
Number 7, even. My apologies.
There we are. Now, it was a silver screen favorite. I don't know if you've deviated, but I was hurt to see it was rotten. Good old Brad Pitt in Troy.
Yeah, this is still a silver screen favorite.
Good. 54% by the critics.
Fuck that.
73%. You know what?
Fuck
Give it 2%. Let's go 75% with that son bitch because of the silver screen dudes putting their vote in there. There was some stuff I never understand the unjustified hate on. Like, and Troy is most definitely one that I feel they done well. Eric Bana, Orlando Bloom, Brad Pitt, everyone brought it.
Diane Kruger. Wasn't Richard Harris in this also? Was it? No, it wasn't Richard Harris. Who played the King of Troy? What was his name? Was it Richard Griffith? Vamp, I'm going to look this up because that's going to drive me crazy.
No, but yeah, please do, because I was even blanking. But I took those 3 because of the core. Like, Diane Kruger was perfect as Helen, but that element of the conflict of the 2 brothers, Brad Pitt as Troy. Like, Brad Pitt, if there's ever a time that makes you want to say
is Achilles.
Yeah, no, so yeah. What did I say? That's Troy.
Troy.
Sorry, how stupid. As Achilles. Now, if there was ever a time you want to sit back and go, okay, you've just been for a swim, and I'm sure you're even still thinking, damn, I've not even been anywhere this morning, not even a press up this morning. I'm like, time to hit the gym. Like, Brad is on point, and I'm very comfortable to say that as a man. That, my God, did he make me feel like a no one, emasculated, I believe is the word. But no, I being one who appreciates Greco-Roman folklore, as it were. This was perfect. I enjoyed everything about it. Seeing the whole element of the Trojan horse coming through. I liked it all. Achilles' story being told on screen. I go.
Peter O'Toole.
Oh man.
Fucking Lawrence of Arabia himself.
Yeah. No, like,
let's also not forget that Sean Bean and Brendan Gleeson are in this in supporting roles.
Of course. Yeah. Like, it's actually got and everyone plays their part. Everyone plays their part.
Do you know what I can understand above everything in this movie? Go. Why did people hate Orlando Bloom's character? And he was such a sniveling little weasel. That was the point.
That is exactly, you literally brought it out. That is exactly what I was going to bring up. He is meant to be the little bitch boy who causes a war because of his ignorance, and belief systems that he's not ready
fucking
for.
self-righteousness and his arrogance and his, his self-entitlement. Well, I'm the son of the king. I can do what I want. He was a little bitch.
That's exactly who he's meant to play.
And he played it perfectly.
Honestly, after that, I think he played, was it the Calcium Kid or some shit? That I had no time for. But between Pirates of the Caribbean 1 and this, I was like, Orlando Bloom actually has quite a bright future.
And Lord of the Rings.
And
his
Lord of the
first
Rings.
ever role.
Yeah,
not bad, is it? Right out of acting school, straight into Legolas.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's hit the drum beats, and the character he was meant to play is who he played. I don't see what kind of element how you would like the story to have gone if he was the almighty testosterone fueled soldier. It wouldn't have worked. That's not who he is meant to be. He's meant to be the sniveling little shit. That's exactly who he is.
Brad Pitt was so good in this.
Bro.
And so, to be fair, they were all good, but that fight between, Hector and Achilles, it was such a beauty. Like, the choreography of that fight.
And you know what I like is that they didn't actually take the mystical side into it,
No.
It was just that he was powerful, but he got shot in the heel. So they still used Achilles' heel as his weakness, but it wasn't a fact of, he was dipped into the water and he's a demigod or he's been blessed by the gods.
It was alluded to. It was
somewhat alluded to, but he was just that damn good. And it was believable, He was just a strong warrior. And, how better than have, that opening scene where he just comes in and just fucks Nathan Jones within 5 seconds. It's like, yeah. For those who,
such a great idea, isn't it? Because of course, that would kill you. Go straight into your fucking, straight into your spine, severs your nerves. You're done.
Done. Yeah. They showed him as this, merciless warrior, and that's what it was. Everything played its part, and here we are. People
what I loved was the kind of inner dichotomy within him, because on the one hand he's kind of like this womanizing drunkard, but then at the same time he's got morals, he's constantly feuding with Agamemnon. He even calls him a sack of wine at one stage. I guess that was ancient Greek for you sack of shit. So well played, Achilles, with the ancient Greek puns there. No, but it's that fight, man. That fucking fight between the two of them. It is one of, for me, it's up there with the Darth Maul fight. There's one of the best pieces of choreography ever, and the build up to it.
That's the thing.
Cut your tongue out. I will cut your eyes out, and everyone in the underworld will know this is Hector, the fool who thought he'd killed Achilles. It's there are no alliances between lions and men. It's so good. What is the hate in this film? The more I think about it, the more I'm like, what did you not like? They captured the period well. The effects were great. The fights were great. The actors fit their roles perfectly. It was well paced. The ending was good. The beginning was good. The middle was good. The script was good. The believability was good. What was wrong with this film?
I don't get it.
Please, anyone, comment down below in the comment section. If you've seen at the top of the show, I will listen to alternative perspectives and I will shout you out. If you are one of the people who dislike Troy, we are by no means saying you're wrong. Movies are the most subjective thing in the world. Well, art is, but you know what we're saying, right?
Well, film is art. Let's be honest. So
this is what I'm saying. So art in general, I don't just want to pick just films. Traditional tableaus, fucking photography, music. It's all subjective. I get that. If you are one of the people who really dislikes Troy, we're not saying you're wrong. I just want to hear why. What didn't work for you? Comment below.
I would
love to, because I've never met one of these people. It's like when you meet someone who says, I don't like Forrest Gump. It's like, can I touch you? Are you real?
Do you know someone put something up the other day. I saw it. It's wrestling, but shout out to Barry and Smarks, the page there. And they actually put something, which was a real question. Some of your classic matches that you enjoy. Do you actually enjoy it, or is it because it's a popular opinion? Now, I'm going to go with that for anyone who says they hate Troy. Is it because you've leaned to what the critics went out to and laughed this movie out at the cinema? Or do you actually have actual drum beats? Now, we've touched on the Orlando Bloom, which could be the most go-to answer, and we've answered that. So feel free if you want to put that down, but I'd like to actually see a real argument of, I don't like Troy because... And if you are one of those people who say, I don't like Troy because Alexander was a better movie, Oh, I
Oh,
hope you.
leave.
I do,
Unsubscribe. There's the exit.
I would love to hear that because I honestly don't believe you.
Fuck me, that movie dragged.
Dragged to hell, and I was really excited for it because Troy had set the tone of a sword and sandals. Let's bring it back. You know, Gladiator had been a
We
while.
had Gladiator 4 years before this. You know, it was
So
like
you had Gladiator, you had
sword
Troy,
and sandals had done its thing,
and you're like, okay, now's the time, and it just, yeah,
Terrible.
bad memories.
3 hours of bloated drivel,
big time. But yeah, no. So 73%. I even think it's a bit low. I could touch 75.
Here.
75,
Troy's an 8.5 for me.
Yeah, I could go with that. I could easily go with that. Like,
Troy.
I love
Troy.
I love Troy. Now, Nick, if that one hurt, and that's at 54%, be prepared, my friend, for this one. Yeah. When I realized comedy was subjective, I had to bring this one in. And this is me also protecting our childhood. And this also bugged me because people will defend Will Ferrell. And this is what we get for Ace Ventura.
What?
This is what we get for Ace Ventura when nature calls. Can I tell you, by the way, before I even show this, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, is rotten on both sides. Okay? I will hit the scores up for that in a second. Bro, yeah. But before that, Ace Ventura 2, When Nature Calls, 25% critic score, 72% audience. Okay? We've just had Nico walk off, and honestly, bro, I can't blame him. How dare the world want to sing to us about Elf? I'm gonna do this until he comes back. But how dare the world sing to us about the likes of Elf and Talladega Nights and all of this Will Ferrell over the top comedy? Yet you want to give us, and I'm gonna throw it up one more time as he comes back in, 25% critic score. How flipping dare you? Audience, thank you very much. Yeah, keep staring, bro. And here we go.
Are you fucking kidding me with this?
Bro, keep talking. Because here we go. While you're doing this, I'm actually going to get Pet Detective because this hurt me even more. I was like, if they've done this, what are they saying for the rest? Slightly higher on the critic score, but ready? Ace Ventura 1 was 49% to 57. Like, it's rotten.
What? Say that again?
49% critic, 57 audience. I don't get it.
Excuse me. I need to check something.
I'm
just going to Rotten Tomatoes every single Will Ferrell movie ever.
Yeah, put him in and scroll down. Now, Ace Ventura, one thing I will always say with Nature Calls is some of the jokes hit harder the older I got because they were they tipped on the adult theme in some areas. However, the jokes, the chitty chitty bang bang references, the boo boo, the in like a glove, right? In like a glove was amazing in number 1. In number 2, where he completely destroys the 4x4 like a glove. Like, how dare you? The Monopoly Man.
Oh. Hi ho, Silver! Okay.
The projector. Listen, Chicago.
Shish kebab.
Chicago.
Shawshank Redemption. Chicago. So good.
Equinsorcha.
What does that mean? White devil. This how they know you. Leave that part out.
I can't help but realize you call me Equinsorcha again. This is how they know you is. And then the spear. Throw me a spear.
Yes, he much better fighter than you.
I was hurt. Now, first of all, I was hurt when I showed Ace Ventura. I think it was 1. Was it like it was a Jim Carrey movie I showed to my nephew and saying, "I love you to bits. You hurt me when you're hurt." I don't get it. How is this funny? But I was like, "What? No, this is Jim. This is Ace. Like, how could you not? Like, no." But 20s, oh mate, no.
No.
It doesn't fall in the 20%. Never. I like the critics, the audience saved me with a 72. Like, no. Go. Because you've just pick any Will film. Go on.
I know.
Feral,
To
not
be
feral.
fair, the first few I scrolled through, his more recent ones are all rotten, which is great. Keep scoring them rotten, and hopefully he stops making movies. Anchorman 2, 75%.
Oh, because that's going to be better than those.
The Campaign, which I actually saw because it also has Zach Galifianakis in it. Terrible. 66%? So are you out of your fucking mind? Oh my god.
Bro, do you know even the initial part of Ace where they spoofed Cliffhanger? Like the beats that are in When
So
Nature
good.
Calls.
So good.
The
So
beats that are
fucking
in
good.
When Nature Calls are I don't get it. I cannot.
Talladega Nights got 71. Fuck off.
And this is what bugs me. It's not that we're even saying like Ace Ventura was in a 50% range. It's not even that these films were in a 50%.
Elf 85. Just die. Fuck off. The only one on here I agree with is the Lego Movie getting 96%. The Lego Movie was fucking great.
But it was awesome because you know what? Everything is awesome. No, come on. I defending childhood, and this is what I'm still trying to understand. What are we talking about in terms of comedy? It's subjective, and I'm like, this is what I'm like. So you guys want to kiss Will Ferrell's ass, but not originator, because Robin Williams done his part. But if we're going to talk over excited and wild and wacky. Like, how dare you guys do this? How dare you?
This is fucked.
How
Sorry.
dare you? 25%.
And I'd like to go on record here. I'd like to. You've heard me say this little thing a number of times, and I've said this to a few people on Twitter because I saw, based on last week, a lot of people are like, oh, critics' opinions don't matter. Which, for me, that is the biggest load of bollocks that you can say when you're talking about accurately criticizing film. And here's why. Right? And I'm going to sound like the biggest hypocrite here because here's me defending critics, right? I did start by saying this, that all things are subjective, of course, right? You have, for most part, you should listen to critics' opinion, right? Here's why. And let me put this to you outside of the movie where we all get very defensive about the things that we love. Let's talk about something a bit more neutral, something which is more fact-based, yeah? Because there are certain things about criticizing a movie or constructively criticizing a movie, which have to be factually based, not just, I didn't like that because it didn't resonate with me. We're all wonderfully different human beings, so obviously things are going to resonate with us in different ways. That par for the course, right? You wouldn't disagree. I mean, if you were you wouldn't fucking disagree with a history teacher's depth of knowledge of history. You can have a difference of opinion, you know. You could be like, well, I believe that World War II, the seeds of that were planted at the Treaty of Versailles because the Treaty of Versailles after World War I, the Allied forces were far too harsh retrospectively on the German forces. And that's what led to the upheaval in Germany and the resentment towards the West, which is why World War II started, because Hitler built on that. You can say that. You can also fucking argue that there was ingrained racism within the Weimar Republic, which led to him going to power. Both of those things are true. The Weimar Republic, which was from, I believe, post-depression, so 1931 up to the World War II in 1938, right? Both of those statements are true. Now, if you want to build an argument about which one led to Hitler being in power more, now it becomes a matter of debate, of course. But a history teacher will know both of those things inside out. You know what I mean? They will know everything there is to know about the Weimar Republic. They will know everything there is to know about the Treaty of Versailles. I'm doing history here, as I said, because it's very, very factual. And it's, like film, one of those things which can lead into opinion. I think Donald Trump's a wanker because there are many reasons. Because he fucking incited an insurrection against the seat of democracy in America. Because this is allegedly, but okay, fuck the alleged. We're not going to go alleged because he mocked people who are handicapped, because he belittled people while on stage for being of different ethnicities than he is. There are many reasons to hate him. Some would argue, I disagree, but some would argue, factually, this is a fact. The black communities in America, despite being under extreme racial prejudice during the Trump administration, actually statistics show that they thrived under the Trump presidency.
Mm-hmm.
Weird as that may sound, but that is a fact. That is a stat. That is a stat that people could use to defend him. I think it misses the point. But you see, by me saying it misses the point, now we're getting into debate territory, right? But the fact remains, a number of states which have got predominantly black populations, like Atlanta, thrived and grew economically during the Trump presidency. I hate, on a personal level, hate the fact that he's got that positive stat to back him up, but it's there. This is me being
objective. That's being fair and objective. It's not being biased and hiding the facts.
I'm openly saying, personally speaking, I fucking hate him as a human being, but that's a plus. There's no two ways about that. That is a plus, right? So it also completely fucking misses the point before the comment section blows up down below. I acknowledge it completely misses the point of the fact that he borderline militarized the police, that he fucking stopped marches on Black Lives Matter because of his own bigotry. Yeah. All of that I'll listen to all day long. So it's very, very easy to pick apart that stat. Guys, like, I hear that all day long, and I am with you if you hate Trump. I am people, right? And if you like Trump, not my people. But you do you. The fact of the matter is that there are some things which are factual, okay? And what a movie critic has, and this isn't because and I'm not talking about Joe Blogs who fucking opened an account on Rotten Tomatoes and wrote reviews for 4 films, which happened to be the 4 films he saw this year. That's not a critic. And the problem that we've had in the modern day is that what constitutes a critic, the waters have become, as you've said earlier, quite muddied. And that's not because the movie industry is wrong. And that's not because critics have done anything wrong per se. It's because it's self-entitlement. Everyone is now labeling themselves, I'm a critic. Shit, man, even I've been known to do it. But I would put myself, although I by no stretch of imagination a full-fledged critic, based on the amount of films I saw when I was critiquing and reviewing, like it was a film a week. Like for me, this is just my personal evaluation. If you are going to, you don't have to watch a film the day it comes out. That's just fame fucking. That's glory hunting, right? Oh, I need to get those likes and views. No, that's not what it's about. You can watch a film that came out 10 years ago, watch it now. That is adding to your overall knowledge, right? Someone who sees 4 movies a year and calls themselves a critic, I give you this. You're a movie fan, sure, but you're not a critic. You can critique the films you've seen, certainly, because then you're bringing in opinion, and no one can tell you that your opinion about something subjective is wrong. Obviously, critique away, my friend. You like those 4 movies, you didn't, you were mixed about them. Your opinion is your opinion, and there is nothing wrong with that. That does not make you a critic, in my opinion. A critic, shit, man, I'll go as far as to say 40 plus movies a year. That's about 1 every 2 weeks. And why do I use that? Because that means that across the space of the year, you will just by process of elimination have seen movies that are outside of your comfort zone. And therefore your spectrum and your mindset has been broadened and grown. And by having seen that many movies, you have therefore a wider pool of knowledge. It doesn't mean you have some higher level of intelligence than Joe Blogs, who's only seen 4 movies. Not at all. Joe Blogs may have a fucking master's degree from Harvard and be twice as smart as you are. This isn't about ranking someone's level of intelligence as far as film is concerned, or even in general. It's just a fucking fact. If I have seen 40 films and you have only seen 4, who has a greater knowledge of film?
Well, this is it.
It's not a fucking condemnation on anyone. It's not a personal attack. And people get so up there, I'm a critic. You're not, mate. You've seen 4 movies. And it's awesome that you like them. And you know what? It's even fucking better that you have an opinion on those movies. Because I think it's almost a waste if someone was like, sees a movie and then is like, silent. It's like, well, no, let's talk. Let's fucking exercise our minds. Let's fucking bounce some ideas off each other. Shit, man, the way you and me were talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and you were like, I hate that Bruce Lee scene. And I was like, well, did you think about it like this? And you were like, actually, that's quite good. You know? In reference for those who haven't heard, I was like, remember that this was coming from the point of view of Brad Pitt, unreliable narrator. That didn't really happen. That was what was going on in his head. That's how you can interpret it. Or you can look at it at face value and be like, Tarantino shot on Bruce Willis, which you would never do. Bruce Lee, rather.
Bruce Lee.
Which you would never do. Which you would never do. Right? If you know Tarantino, he'd never do that. So, and the fact that if you know Tarantino is a phrase that I'm using is an implication that I know Tarantino because I've pretty much read his autobiography. I've read his biography. I've watched documentaries about him. I've watched all of his movies, like a lot of you guys out there have. That doesn't mean I'm more intelligent. But if you know that much Tarantino, guess what? That means you're more educated on Tarantino than someone who's only seen Pulp Fiction. It's just a process of elimination. So the reason this rant has been going on a while now is because I'm saying you do need to listen to critics on some level. You don't have to fucking agree with them. That's fine. Because as I keep saying, it's all a difference of opinion. But you do have to listen to certain things they say. You do have to acknowledge that these guys see multiple movies a week. These guys see hundreds of movies in a year. I can't keep up with them. Try as I might. There's no chance. We can't keep up with them. Your average moviegoer, he can label himself a critic all he wants. There is no fucking way he has got the level of insight into film that a critic does. If I see 3 movies that are horror-based and you start to see the threads that run through horror movies, therefore you start to understand the construct of a horror movie. You start to understand how sound is used, how they use certain beats in a movie to create the jump scare, how people like James Wan hold back on the jump scare in movies like The Conjuring versus people like Wes Craven who use the jump scare in movies like, Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. You can start to draw parallels. By your mind naturally. It's not something you have to educate yourself on. It's a natural process. Your mind naturally gets attuned and educated on certain things just by seeing something so much, right? So you do have to give critics their dues. They're not more intelligent. They shouldn't be sneered at and looked down on. They should actually be applauded for seeing that many movies and being able to relay what they have seen in a constructive way. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some critics who are outright knob jockeys who just, they never give positive reviews. It just seems to be that their modus operandi for existence is to shit on the movie world and nothing's good enough. At the end of the day, John Campea, he's a guy who you will never go to again because he ruined Deadpool for you, right? Yeah. He's not your critic. I don't even think John Campea calls himself a critic. He calls himself a pundit. Jeremy Johns, another YouTuber, 2 million plus views. Jeremy Johns, despite not being a traditional critic in the sense that he writes for a paper, is most definitely a fucking critic. His delivery is most unique. He doesn't get all analytical and metaphysical with his delivery. He gives you a punchy delivery in about 5 to 6 minutes. There's an element of going for the big IPs because the man's got to make a living and get the views, and he knows that the big IPs are going to make him more money. But, the way you can see Jeremy Johns' mind working, he draws on other movies. He brings in other things. You can tell that this is a man who is educated or self-educated with film. So, yeah, his opinion matters. You don't have to agree with it, but the opinion matters. I mean, okay, weird statement. All opinions matter, of course. But what I'm saying is that his knowledge should be recognized and matters, right? So bringing that now all the way back to Ace Ventura after this lengthy monologue, this is relevant, right? I did say you must find, like AJ will not listen to Campea because he ruined Deadpool. I can't blame you for that, but that's a different thing, right? Jeremy Johns, you can listen to. I personally like Mark Commode. He's got a YouTube channel too. He writes for The Guardian here in the UK as their movie critic. He's got a pretty fucking insightful mind. Everyone praises the great Roger Ebert, who's probably regarded as the greatest critic. Scott Mantz, who writes for The Hollywood Reporter. Essentially, if you are, I think, an aspiring critic or even a more than average film fan, find critics who you can relate to. Because obviously the one thing that outweighs, knowledge and opinion is personal taste, right? Fuckers out there love Will Ferrell. Chances are I'm probably not going to be able to relate to those critics because they're going to feed me information that I know, despite their wide pool of knowledge, I'm going to be like, everything you're saying is true, but my human DNA, my construct, my build, despite trying, I don't like the guy. So while everything you're saying might be true, I'm not going to relate to it. So you have to balance it out. You have to take them for their word, but you do have to find the ones which you can obviously relate to, because ultimately, and at the end of the day, I can tell you till the cows come home that La La Land is a better movie than Moonlight, and I can break it down why. And I can break down how Moonlight is the biggest piece of Oscar bait that's ever been created. Hey, a lot of critics loved it.
This is the thing, this is the thing. But a thing about a critic, one, you do find a critic that goes to your thing. Like, put it this way, no matter what you want to do, we talked history, we can even talk fine dining. It's no point taking a guy who only eats French food to ask his opinion on Italian, right? A guy who's watched every MCU movie is not the best person to ask for a review on The Notebook. It's just the way it is. However, a film critic is the person who has watched every MCU movie, watched every film like The Notebook, every rom-com like 27 Dresses, every horror movie like The Conjuring and Nightmare on Elm Street and Chucky and so on and so forth. And through that can then balance out to say, and on top of that, they've touched the foreign films. So then when they look at a film and say, I think this is worth that score, it's on a very general basis, and it's an understanding of for instance, we are here and we're going for Will because of a near enough like for life comparison in what they deliver, Jim Carrey and Will Ferrell, right? Yeah. However, we will look that touch of bias because we're like, Jim's ones are all in the 80s and everything Will does should be 20. I get it. But if you are a critic and you've covered Eddie Murphy, Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart, and Jim Carrey, now you're in a world to say, well, that should touch more. We've tried Will Ferrell. It's just not for us. Yeah. That's just the nature of it. So it's not to say that you guys are entirely wrong. If you are on a Will Ferrell, then subscribe to those reviewers.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's not wrong. It's just, as I said, it's not for us.
A drum beat. Like, put it this way, I'm going to bring it into the world of wrestling for those. Sadly, it's not as big as it used to be, but let's go into the annex of times and go, well, not so far. I'm not going Hulk Hogan times, but let's go into WrestleMania 17, The Rock versus Stone Cold. Some cheered for The Rock. Some cheered for Austin. They were both good guys. It's your choice. That's just the way it goes. And it's the same here. You pick. No one's wrong. It's just, 26% or 25% for Ace Ventura 2 is wrong.
In our opinion.
In our opinion. But I will go in a general opinion, it's wrong. Because, hey, you know what? The audience said 72%. But I get what you're saying. Audience. It's based on scope, and that's why we respect critics. But at the same time, this is also showing where critics could be wrong.
Correct. But let's build on that. It's based on how informed your opinion is. Because everyone has an opinion. And as I said, none are wrong when it comes to art. Because what works for you, right? But for I'm not going to repeat everything, but for all the examples that AJ and I have just said, right? Where how informed is your opinion on movie? Is it based on 4 movies a year, or is it based on 100 movies a year? Both opinions are valid. One is more informed.
That's the thing. And if you're very heavily genre based, you are going to slaughter anything else. You know these are the things. These are the battles that we have.
Basically, what I'm getting at here is, despite the fact that I monumentally fucking disagree with this critic assessment of Ace Ventura, I'm also humble enough to say that you shouldn't poo-poo on a critic's opinion wholeheartedly, because these guys do know what the fuck they're talking about. In this case, I'll even go as far as to be humble and say they must have some knowledge, or they clearly do have some knowledge that I do not have, because I can't see what's wrong with Ace Ventura. Well, it's great.
7 and 6 have me like, huh? Like Troy and Ace. I'm like, please hit me up again. Comment below. I would love the comments below. What on earth? What is wrong with Ace? I want to know.
It's slapstick. If you don't like slapstick, I really don't know what to
if you're not a slapstick fan, then I get it. Just say not. I don't do slapstick, which is fine. But slapstick has also been quite a big genre, especially in the time that was out. I want a bit more than, even if it is that, but let me know. Let me see what you guys will be like, because he does this. I don't get it. I just want to know. And again, equally, if you are a Ferrell fan and you've heard us like shit on his films just there, just show us why you think Will is better than Jim.
He's not.
Listen, it's not. I know this. I'm just intrigued. I'm very much intrigued.
All right. Well, after a lengthy rant, which we apologize for, but we hope you found entertaining and maybe somewhat, dare I say, edutaining?
Hey, there you go.
My number 7.
Indeed.
Which, honestly, this one this one caught me off guard because I thought this was pretty universally loved. It's from one of our favorite directors, Mr. Tony Scott, and stars one of the silver screen dudes' favorite actors, Mr. Tom Cruise. Cuckoo as he is, we like his shtick. I'm going to bring in Top Gun. Top Gun, which has got a critic rating of 57% and an audience score of 83. Now, if you ask me my opinion, I think it's somewhere in between. I think 83 is being a little bit on the generous side, but I also think putting it in the 50s is a bit fucking harsh.
It's just shy of being fresh, 3% short of being fresh.
It's fresh. Top Gun is a fresh film.
But this is what I'm saying. This is it. I think I'd be 65. I think I would be 65.
Spot on. I think that's right.
Yeah, I don't think I would touch 70. I don't.
Somewhere between 65 and 70. It depends how bombastic I'm feeling on the day.
This is also true. It's weird though, because Top Gun is one of those films, and it didn't actually hit the radar in my research, but it is one of those films that more and more I've heard people like Top Gun, and it kind of told me that reception is a bit funny. Like, but no, come on, it's a funny one because of where the score is. As you said, it's just too low. Audience are a bit maybe too high. But it's fresh. It's fresh territory.
This is why it's my number 7, because like it's just shy of being fresh, but when you consider that you can, we said this when we went to see Bumblebee at the cinema. You can smell the 80s on this film, and it's all the better for it. And if you think, here's the thing: this is in an age where GoPro was not mainstream. Yeah,
this is true. This is true.
Some of the fucking camera angles that they got on this movie, like, well, let me just bring up the year again here: 1986. 1986. This film came out. Like, this is an impressive fucking feat of cinema. When you consider that this was made in 86, obviously with the full support of America, you know, America, bring on. We love our stars and stripes, man. It's love your country, absolutely, dulce et decorum est, but pro patria mori and all that. But it's jet fights, man. Like,
what do you want from
it's very macho. I'll agree with that. It's very macho. It's very planes flying around. Pew 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 pew. I just did that. Forgive me, but it's kind of what it is. But you know, it's jet flights. Like, if you're in the thing, I'm not even particularly into planes. You know, I much prefer boats and being underwater. I'm more down than up. But what's wrong with Top Gun? Fun. Top Gun's a load of fun.
I don't know. As you said, I've had a load of fun with Top Gun. So much. Put it this way. So much so, there's even a Top Gun 2 coming out now.
I am pumped for that film.
Where are we going with? It's a touchy one because I agree, but I can see they're just off. As I said, I'm a 65%, so 50 something.
As I said, it depends on the day you catch me, but I think it's more the fact that this movie is, you know, if someone was to ask you Top Gun on Rotten Tomatoes, is it fresh, rotten, or certified? You'd have to say rotten, and it's like, no, it is not a rotten film.
That's wrong. That's a wrong one. That is a wrong one. Yeah, I get it, bro. Not much to add. It's fun. It's the fun of the 80s. It's got the 80s macho behind it. It's got the America, you know, the national pride behind it. It's got the dogfights. Like, what do you want? What are we talking about? Like, you know, if you were to describe it and then watch it, you'd be like, well, why are you hating? Like, what did you expect differently? Is what I'm asking.
All right.
Yeah.
Pew pew. So
that's the one. Right. That was your number 6.
So it's funny because you've brought in a slapstick comedy for your number 6. I'm going to do the same because my number 6, it's a trilogy. I'm bringing in number 2, and it's the best of the trilogy. Oh, behave, baby. Because Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me, is rotten.
Damn. And I've been talking Austin Powers lately.
In it, though, 52% rating from the critics, 71 from the audience. Now, I'll go out on a limb here, and I'll even say I think the audience score is a bit low. Just a tad. I'd bump it up from 7 out of 10 to sort of 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because Austin Powers, mate, it's all sorts of funny. It's so funny. Like, especially this second one.
I believe this is a product of its time.
Done, and we don't get slapstick movies anymore. Like,
I think this is the problem. I think the spoof inside of it, I blame Scary Movie for absolutely destroying that genre. But
in it.
They were terrible. That whole movie, because it was superhero movie, scary movie, and all whatever crap, date movie or whatever. They destroyed.
Vampire sucks.
Yeah,
Meet
all
the
of that
Spartans,
stuff.
like, oh, fuck off.
They really destroyed a quite a fun genre when done properly. But these were
listen. Let's just break it down. When done properly, you get things like Ace Ventura. You get things like Austin Powers. You get things like Carry On. You get things like Monty Python. You get things like Laurel and Hardy. There is a serious lineage to slapstick, which has been just killed.
Yeah. That's sad. That is sad. It's weird. I don't even know how I take this one, because I don't know. Some part of me thinks maybe there is the sexuality in the jokes where people now try to be lily white, as I keep saying, and I would never make such jokes. And people just come back and attack, and then there are some stuff that are generational. I think Austin Powers, Friends, they all kind of fall into that same bucket sometimes. But I can't remember what it was. I know what it was. I was talking to Zany about GTA and cashing in my million from Rockstar. You have to sign in each month and get your mil. And I was like, $1 million. And I was like, do you know what that's from? He had no clue. And like, Mini-Me's not recognized. I'm like, all right,
Mini-Me
we're
has
going to go
to be
through this.
recognized.
He was aware of who he was, but even Dr. Evil after a while, he's like, oh, the bald head guy. Like it all started to fall into place, but not enough. And I was like, right, we need to do this. We need to hit the trilogy.
Oh, be careful. I don't think slapsticks for Zany after his Ace Ventura reaction.
I know, but it's weird for me because Austin Powers I had fun with. It's above middle ground for me, but I'm not going to be ultra offended like I was by Ace if he's like, I don't get it. But like the whole mojo and behave, you're like, I get it. I love.
Do you know what we do in Russia to stay warm, Mr. Powers? I can guess, baby. we play chess. I guess wrong. Shit like that. Fat bastard. Come on. Iconic.
This was another thing I said to him. I'm like, yeah, there's a character called, and I'm like, I don't think it would exist nowadays, but Fat Bastard.
No, of course not. But fucking wonderful character for the time. Wonderful character.
Yeah. And this is the thing. It's like sometimes I wonder if time gets the better of these stuff, but yeah. I don't know.
Blazing Saddles, Dracula Dead and Loving It. Sorry, I've got more slapstick coming into my head now. All of the Mel Brooks stuff. Hot Shots, thank you. There's a good lineage of slapstick.
Make it done. There's so many different bits that you could just sit back and enjoy.
Spy Hard, that was a good one.
Yes, Spy Hard was a good laugh. It was a good laugh. It's unfortunate. It's weird because I don't know when these reviews are coming in and how people alter themselves. But
you can check. You can check.
We could do, but. Long now, but yeah, but like going back, man, like Austin Powers needs some love, man. Mike Myers done his thing with Austin Powers. It brought him back. It brought him back before Shrek did. Like he put himself on the map with Austin Powers, and that needs to be respected.
Then he done fucked up with the Love Guru and killed his career.
Anyway,
over to your number 5, sir.
Okay, in at number 5 for me. It's because I kind of get it, but I still think the critics are extremely wrong. In at number 5 for me is Venom with a 29% critic rating and 81% audience score.
Punt.
Oh, sorry. Okay, right. Oh, first punt of the show. Okay, cool. I get that. Okay, over to you, sir. Your number 5.
My number 5. Let's just go with it. My number 5 is Rambo: Last Blood. I
haven't got around to seeing this yet.
You haven't? Let me edutain you. It has got a critic rating of 26% and an audience score of 82%. Now, let me be real. The audience, spot on with this one. Spot on with this one. I'll go out on a limb and say I like Rambo, but Rambo and John McClane are available in Call of Duty right now. I would get John McClane first. Putting that out there. I lean more Die Hard than Rambo. Always have.
Film-wise, yes, but John Rambo is one tough son of a bitch. If I was going to go to Call of Duty, I think I'd want John Rambo on my side.
Yeah, but they're just skins. Like it's just.
I know,
but
yeah, I get that. Yeah.
I'm just saying which team I reside with, right?
Okay,
What I'm demonstrating here is that I don't have like the biggest like. I'm not a Rambo mark. Like, you know, I like them, especially the fucking first movie. It's great. Second and third movie get very bombastic. Fourth movie just says, how much blood can we create? Fuck me. The fifth movie, do you know what? The fifth movie was like this weird milli-millo between number 4 and number 1. And it weirdly worked because it wasn't setting him in like Vietnam War territory. It wasn't, you know, making him that fucking Navy officer, Marine like he was. He's literally a retired, grizzled old man now, right? Which is exactly the role he should be playing, right? It picks up where number 4 left off, essentially. He's back on his farm. We're not going off to Burma. We're not going off to Vietnam. We've left Asia, essentially. Afghanistan, also technically Asia. So, yeah, we've left Asia. And, yeah, we're back on John Rambo farm. And he's got, I think it's his niece. It is his niece. You bring in Rambo, you bring in the Mexican cartels, you bring in some more modern day themes like kidnapping, you bring in his niece getting kidnapped and raped and dying, and you bring in John Rambo in all of his full fucking rage. It's like they picked with the wrong guy. It's one of those stories. And it's like, yeah. Like, there are many people's. I mean, I'm not saying you should rape and kill any person and no one's niece and no one's family members, even less so if it's Rambo's. Yeah. Like, do not take human life. It's bad. Like, I feel weird that I have to state that, but for the sake of it, it's bad. In case that wasn't clear.
If you think you could do a crime without comeuppance, you pick the wrong guy to have done it too. That's essentially what we're trying to say. But on the other side, we support it that he did do it to that family. Not that we endorse the murder and killing, but because of comeuppance for your heinous act, we're going to enjoy seeing your payback.
And what you've just said there is way better than anything I could have said. That is the movie. That is the movie. It doesn't try to be anything else. It is exactly that. And he lures them to his farm where he goes full fucking Kevin McAllister on them.
That's Home Alone for anyone who's scratching their head as to which.
Yes.
But, love it. Cool. I do want to see it. It's on the list. It is on the list of films. It just didn't get around to seeing it. It came and went from the cinema quicker than I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Honestly, bro, I was expecting it to be bad. I was like, ooh, you've taken him completely out of the war setting. Now, where the fuck are we going with this? This just looks like violence for the sake of violence. And I was watching it going, it's actually got some depth to it. Shit. All right, cool. I'm in. I'm along for the ride. Let's go. Nice. So yeah. Cool. Really had a laugh with Rambo Last Blood.
I would love to touch more on that one, but yeah, sadly can't.
Over to you, mate.
Okay, right. In at number 4, critics done me dirty. Audience, you just about made it. I'm talking one of 2 times he's going to be in here. Robin Williams.
Oh.
Jumanji. 55%.
Oh, shit.
55% critic, 62 audience. I'm actually hurt because what bugs me with this is that when the remakes came out, and I haven't even checked their scores, but everyone was like, it's not the original. How dare they? This is wrong. You can't recapture the magic that Robin Williams brought. No, this is Robin Williams' one, bro.
This is the Robin Williams one. Shit, mate.
And I'm like, with all of that hate that came to those films, and maybe I should go back to it, but I'm like, there's not much love. There's not much love with it. On either end, weird. Like for me, I would easily hit 70, 75 for Jumanji.
Oh, yeah.
And we're on 62, which just about made it fresh, just about. But 55 on a Rotten, I'm like, what? I always find Jumanji a very smart movie in the essence of bringing a board game to life, and as much as you could maybe touch and call it a childhood horror, because it's got, it doesn't go too deep to be an actual horror movie, but it's got enough to give you the scares. Like, it's always worked, and it's got its comedy element. It's got the magic of Robin Williams, which we will always touch upon.
You know what's fucked? I've just looked up the rating for the Rock's one.
Go.
76% from the critics, 87% from the audience.
So here we go. So people are physically out to say that it's a better movie, which I could never sign up to.
No way. No way, no how, never. No. Fun action, fun sort of bombastic action flick. that Jumanji is not the Jumanji that was promised to me in the Jumanji movie.
Well, this is it. This is it. And I don't know. I can't. And I can't even call it a time thing because it's timeless, essentially, to me.
Jumanji was a kid's horror. That's how I've always seen it.
Yeah.
Spiders and fucking poisonous plants and crocodiles and monsoons and fucking lions coming out from behind the piano. It's like, and mosquitoes that can paralyze you. Like, this, this is a kid's horror. There's a stampedes and like, this is a kid's horror.
And maybe that's the thing. Maybe the world didn't want kids horror. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm shocked because the public outcry was, how dare they remake Jumanji? Yet you're now rating it higher. But even with watching it, I've never heard anyone go, it's better than the Robin Williams film. Irrelevant of how you appreciate the film. I've never heard anyone say they prefer it. Maybe.
I have one or two, but it's not like a general consensus. Nah, that shocks me, man. That's fucked. Fucked.
I was shocked. Both ends. Audience could have gone higher. Critics definitely had to go higher. Yeah, it hurts.
Can't get on board with that.
You're number 4.
I have brought this up before quite a few times. It's one of those hidden gems. I get why critics didn't like this. I fully get it. I love it. My number 4, Grandma's Boy.
I have to give this film another shot. I have to give this film
a critic rating of, this is ridiculous, 16% and an audience score of 85%.
That's a huge
listen, I'll be the first to say that if we're looking at things objectively and analytically, 85% is a little bit high. It's a little bit on the high side. But I've made no mistake of my great love for this film on the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast. And I'll maintain that. It's essentially made with the whole of the Adam Sandler entourage minus Adam Sandler. So all of that, the kind of group that he brings along as supporting characters in his movies, this is their time to shine. And it's pretty basic in its ideation. It's literally a group of, they're not even video game makers or programmers. They're literally testers. Yeah. They're like the horny geeks who still live at home with their mum, or in this case, their grandma, and test games for a living for little to no money and do a lot of weed. It's not trying to be anything more than a fun video game stoner movie.
Do you know what this film reminded me of? And again, I might need to give it another shot. I remember seeing someone posting something, and I was like, I need to see what this film is. And this was on a wrestling page, no less. But I was like, wow, no, I need to see what this film's about. Got to see it, and I was like, Do you know what it felt like? But I still need to give it a better shot because it just didn't make me laugh as much as I thought it would.
Go on.
It felt like the straight to DVD American Pie movies. Like, it's very middle ground.
Yeah.
So I'm not with what I've seen and my knowledge. It might tip fresh on a second viewing, but it's not. It's on the 60. Yeah, it might be 65.
It's in that range.
I wouldn't have put it as a 2 of what the hell am I watching? This is absolute bullshit. Like that's
again,
my
with 2s we're in Michael Bay territory, people. Like no.
Yeah, I find that extremely harsh. And that's me who wasn't fond of it and said I need to give it another shot. I wouldn't have gone that low. They're just middle ground movies to me.
You saw the first few minutes of it though, right?
Yeah.
So you recognized big cool Kevin Nash.
I'm sure I did. This is ages ago, but there was no way I didn't recognize Kev. Like, I'm always smiling when I see Kev. I've even seen Kev play Zeus. I'm like, it's Kev! Some very shit Hercules movie. And I was like, oh my God, they've got Kevin Nash. Like, I'm always cool to see Kev.
Soft spot for me. I go as far as to say it's a guilty pleasure, but again, it's a movie that owns what it is, and it's not trying to break any new ground. And what it does well. It's a stoner comedy, and
I get it.
I liked it.
It is what it is. Right. Okay. In at number 3 for me, I was actually really shocked at this, and I watched this during lockdown with the missus. Again, this is the first time I touched on it. We're talking Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder, See No Evil, Hear No Evil. 28% critic rating, 72% audience. Where the hell is that a 3 out of 10?
I've never seen this film.
You've never seen it, bro. I mean, okay, you've got Richard Pryor as a blind guy, Gene Wilder as a deaf guy, and Richard Pryor, if I remember rightly, he's got a bit of a gambling problem, and Gene Wilder's character refuses to acknowledge he's deaf. So what happens is a murder happens just in front of Gene Wilder because he works at a newspaper stand, and at the same time, Richard Pryor's just coming in. And now what you're looking at is two guys kind of being framed for the murder of this individual, and them running from the law and trying to prove their innocence while all the time battling their disabilities. It's kind of cold, and you think, but if you were to use two guys to really work it, it was them. So you've got a blind guy who's trying to communicate with a deaf guy. The communication could just about happen, you know, because it's a matter of lip reading. So if one's looking the wrong way, that's communication out of the way. It's all these different bits, but you get a lot of fun out of it.
Slapstick,
of course. Here we go once again.
There you go.
Yeah. It's. I think if it's not Netflix, it's on Amazon Prime. It's out there to find, like, naturally. Not having to go down a dark water road to find it, but it's fun. It is fun. It's that. Sorry, I'm gonna have to bring back the year because I can't remember it. 1989. You're talking late 80s, early 90s comedy. It touches
all year for film, man. Fuck me.
Carry on.
89 was a good year for film.
They've got some goodies, and these guys are seasoned vets by this time. Like, honestly, I think it's a disrespect to both of those guys to put that film in there. And it's the best of their pairings, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen. Because at one point was trying to see all their films, and this one was definitely the one where they delivered. So that's cold. That was all kinds of cold.
Yeah. Nothing to add, mate. I haven't seen it, so.
No, exactly. Over to you.
This one, I knew this was always the case, and we've always known that this was the case, and we've always fucking said, arguably DC's best film. I'm bringing in at number 3, Man of Steel, which wrong, just wrong. It's got a critic rating of 56%, which is still rotten, and an audience score of 75.
I'd hit 80.
Sorry,
I would hit 80,
bro. Once again, I'm with you. I would. I think 75 criminally underserves that movie. I think that Man of Steel is a Greco-Roman mythological modern day fucking masterpiece. I'd go higher than 80. Shit, I might put Man of Steel in the 90s. I adore that film. Easily.
It's one of those things that I mean, 80 being my minimum because it is what this is, and I take nothing away from Christopher Reeve when I say this. This is the best iteration you could ever get of Superman.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like, no matter what, the conflict of what goes on of a man who has that power, what he does, how he does it, what he's forced to do, the responsibility that he takes, everything is shown in this film. Everything.
Shit me. It even got a performance out of The Bodyguard. Boom.
Good old Park Kent. No, but yeah, there you go. Like, yeah, it done. Like, this is what I remember, and I've always been the guy who's always leaned team Batman because he's got a dark edge, and you know, Superman's always so clean cut that it's very hard to buy on board. And don't get me wrong, I used to love watching Dean Cain on, you know, Lois and Clark, and I have loved all Superman, but it's still, there comes a point you get older and here we go, we know what to get from Superman. Here I saw conflict. Here I saw what it means to be Superman.
Well, he wasn't Superman yet. That's what was so fucking interesting.
This is it.
That is what was so goddamn interesting about it. He was learning to be Superman. He'd never come up against anything, in this case Zod, but he'd never come up against other Kryptonians or a challenge which necessitated him becoming Superman. All he was a scared, albeit very large, but scared kid from Kansas, who didn't know what his place in the world was. Now, forgive me, that is an infinitely relatable story.
Yeah.
Shout out to Beauty and the Beast, because that's a tale as old as time. We're all trying to find our place in the world. And as just fucking standard human beings, we all struggle with that on a daily basis. This movie just took that to another level. It's like, oh, you think you got problems? This motherfucker flies. How do you think he feels?
If he breathes too hard, he'll freeze you to
Someone
death.
is pouring a glass of milk over his head, and he knows he can send them into the sun.
Yeah. This is it. You know, just looking at you the wrong way could burn a hole in your shoes. Like it's like that's a lot of restraint. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, fucking. We brought it up on pod before, but it's new for the YouTube channel, so I've got to bring it up again. That constant fucking soundbites I hear. Oh, why did they destroy the city? Why did he kill Zod? It's like, motherfucker, he didn't have a choice. I know it's like he could have just stopped. Here's the one that always makes me laugh. Is that well, he didn't need to break Zod's neck in that moment. He could have just like flown up. It's like, yes, I'm sure if he'd flown up, Zod would have just gone, okay, you win.
I have the higher ground.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
go the higher ground.
Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, no, he knew that Zod was not going to stop.
Yeah.
He had to make a calculated decision in a moment of panic, which is fucking difficult to do. Trust me. And I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate. A calculated decision in a moment of panic and this is the thought process that must have been going on in his mind. He's literally deciding, am I ready to take my place on Earth and essentially wipe out my race? Because that's what he did. He ended the Kryptonian line there, as far as he was aware in that moment. This is the last fucking semblance I have of a piece of myself. Like, you know, he could easily have gone down the road of, well, these guys get me. These are literally my people. Like,
he literally went for them over us.
Yeah.
Like that's
like
a big
the conflict within him, and that's why he did that big scream afterwards. You know, the pain he must have suffered, and everyone's like, "Oh well, you know, he's only doing that because he broke his rule, but the rule hadn't been established." No, you dummy! He's not Superman yet. He's in pain because he's just wiped out the last of his fucking race. Just imagine the toll that takes on a person.
Bro, there's that, but it's also all elements of it's a given that there is the glass prison that you get in freaking Superman 2. But if that's not canon in this world, how do you
that is not in his thinking yet.
This is what I'm saying. He's completely unaware of it. But how do you stop the unstoppable? Like, even destroying the city, okay, here we go. I'm gonna give you a punch that I would give to a normal man. Like, remember a finger flick from Superman sends us 5 ways of, 5 stories away. Now, here we go. How do you stop a man who just a general fight? If you and I were to fight right now, blow for blow, you're giving your hardest punch because it's man to man. This is unstoppable alien versus unstoppable alien. There's gonna be some casualties, like in a normal fight. A bar gets wrecked.
It wasn't like Superman set out like, I'm gonna beat Zod and I'm gonna level Metropolis while I'm at it. So, no, the point was he was trying to stop the leveling of Metropolis. Guess what? Not so fucking easy.
It's absolute crap. I mean, I'm just looking at let's take any film. Let's even go back to Rush Hour. A fight in a hotel room, the vases get broken.
Yeah.
Here we go. Right, the vases get broken. Glass gets broken in a bar. These are 2 aliens fighting in a city in the open world. Oh no. Oh, do you mind, Zod? And where is that going to go? Do you mind, Zod? Let's just take this to space. Yeah, right. I'm here to take over the planet. I give a shit about the Chrysler building. It doesn't happen.
Real talk.
It doesn't happen.
Real talk. And we're just focusing on the end, guys, because that does seem to be the common soundbite that comes up. Why did he kill those people? He was choosing humanity over fucking Krypton, essentially. There was a very difficult dilemma for him to go through, hence the scream. But yeah, we're focusing on the end, as I said, because that's the constant soundbite that comes up. If we're, again, going back to what Ryan said, am I getting the name right? Sorry. Ryan,
yeah.
Ryan Rain. Going back, trying to be a bit more objective instead of going off onto a one-sided rant this week. The movie does have issues, sure. And I'll be the first to say that the first time, maybe the first 2 times I saw Man of Steel, I was like, ugh, I can't get into it. The beginning especially is quite jarring. Like it's jumpy. It jumps this scene and that scene and that. There's no continuity thread through it. And it also seems to be that we're jumping between different timelines. Because I'm a kid, I'm an adult. I'm an adult, but I'm in Kansas. I'm an adult. I'm in fucking the Fortress of Solitude. It's like, whoa, I can't keep up. But once you, so it does take a few viewings, and that could be its biggest downfall, because the beginning, especially the editing is, it's Snyder-esque. It's ropey. Like, he's never been the best. He's never been the most proficient editor, Zack Snyder. Again, watch Army of Darkness if you disagree. Fact. No, opinion, not fact. But the editing at the beginning is ropey, and it does make the story a bit unintelligible. But once you've understood what story they're trying to tell, granted, it has to be done through a few repeat viewings. Pretty much the moment after he walks out in his suit onwards, the movie just goes into another gear. It's like, whoosh. It's yeah. I think it's a fucking crowning achievement as far as superhero movies go. And this is going to sound crazy. People are going to be, are you insane? I put it up there with The Dark Knight, and I put it up there with Avengers as one of the best comic book movies out there. Just because it is so different from everything. It has got such fucking, like, it's comics are essentially mythology. There are modern mythology. If you think about how the Greeks, how the Romans created their mythology with murals and with mosaics and with, stories of beings of great power that ruled over them, that was their mythology. Comics are just our modern mythology, although we've developed, we've separated ourselves from belief. So we recognize them to be entertainment as opposed to faith, which is what existed back then. But be under no illusion, comics are modern day mythology. Stan Lee may as well as Stan Lee may as well as be fucking Homer, as far as I'm concerned. The scope of his work is insane, right?
Indeed.
These are mythological tales of beings of great power living in our world. So this is just my thing, but they are mythological tales. No movie has come close to fully embracing its mythological ethos than Man of Steel. I adore this film.
No, I'm on board. I am definitely on board with that. Not much to add. I definitely agree. Right. Okay. This one came in last night for me, my number 2, because I happened to watch it. I thought, you're watching this. Let's see what the audience rating was. Second time we're going to be seeing Martin Lawrence. This is one that I think we brought up before and said it's kind of underrated. We don't see it a lot. Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, Life.
Oh shit! What, critics didn't like this?
Bro,
damn.
50% critic, 77% audience. I'm down with the audience. Maybe 7, maybe I would say 70%, maybe, so maybe a touch too high. But again, it depends on the viewing, because I think if you asked me before,
that's harsh,
bro. Even I think my first viewing, I even hit 80, 85. So it depends on the day. I think there was just a few things I was like, Life is hilarious. I didn't laugh as much this time around, but it's a great story. I think even taking away the comedy element of it, the story behind it of 2 black men being framed for a murder committed by a white cop and their life imprisonment in a Mississippi prison that doesn't have fences or cages, that just says run past that line and we will eliminate you, and the friendships and the bonds that have been made there, and 2 guys who actually by circumstance are forced to get along and build this lifelong friendship, and the stories and everything that comes around it, the changing of times. It's actually really well put together.
It is really well put together. And we also know now from, again, this is what we talk about, widening our scope of fucking knowledge and being more informed. We also now know that this shit did happen.
Yeah.
Black guys in that time would get they get falsely in prison now, for fuck's sake. Sadly, not much has changed. America. And in the UK, granted, I'm not having a go at America. Fuck, we do it here terribly. It's just not on the same level of scale. Argument to be made, the population size is different, sure. But look at 12 Years a Slave. True story. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? This guy didn't just get put into prison. He got put into slavery. Like, Life did a really good job of kind of treading the line between acknowledging that it is at its part a kind of pseudo comedy, because it's got by proxy people like Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence in it, but never going too far into the realm of yucks. You know?
No, this is
it treads the line really well, and I think that's
a
very, very impressive.
All of the different elements that you need to see in it, even interracial relationships, camaraderie within a prison, based off of all of these different elements, and even down to homosexuality. that conflict of freedom and having to be accepted not only within the community but in that time. And it touched a lot. It touched a lot of beats. And it's the first time the missus watched it, and she really took it in. She was like, "Wow, I never knew about this film." Like, we had a good selection of films yesterday, and that was that ended the night, and it was like, wow, that was a good one.
Nice.
So it's above middle ground, like 50%. No, like, it's weird because that is rotten. It should be on the touch of fresh, being a 50, but still, either way, it's above middle ground. As I said, 70 up
movie at least.
Yeah, it's a 70% up movie. 77 I can work with. Anyone who says lower, I understand, but it's 70 up easily.
Yeah.
No, well, as I say, 70 I would work. 65 I think you're still being too harsh. 70% upwards, I work with. But nah, definitely want to see.
All right. AJ, I'm going to shout out Samuel L. Jackson here and say, hold on to your butts, because this one's a shock. I think this is going to be your moment for getting out of your seat here. This is a motherfucking disgrace. I'm actually considering putting this as my number one. I am going to put it as my number one. I'm going to switch.
Okay.
I'm going to switch. So, because it's such a fucking abomination of a disgrace. My number 2, which is just now my number 1, I'm going to bring it in as my number 2, was the punt from earlier, Venom.
29%.
29 from critics, 81 from audience. What's not to like?
Do you know what I think Venom's guilty of? And this is why it was number 5 for me, right? It's the appreciation of what you know Venom to be. Because comes down to knowledge. Because your scope of the different iterations of Venom is out there, you know that you can accept Agent Venom. Whereas someone like myself who just watched a cartoon is like, "Well, you need Spider-Man, and it needs to come from space, and it does this, that, and the other." And it's like, "Oh, this is wrong." It throws you. And I think that...
But that's you. Do you really think... Okay, critics, I've just said, have got a very, very, very wide knowledge of film. Do you think they've got... Some do. Critics who work for bodies like IGN and CVG, sure, they will. But people like Mark Kermode, for instance, I keep bringing him up because he's such a great critic. Mark Kermode, who's very, very broad-speaking critic, who openly says he doesn't have the comic book depth and knowledge that is possibly wanted from someone reviewing a comic book movie. You think he knows fucking Agent Venom? No.
Bro,
And he slaughtered this movie. So I think you're wrong. I do not think it's about the need for Spider-Man from, preconceived knowledge. I just think people flat out didn't like this film. And I can't for the life of me figure out why. Because my God, I'm going to go, Sheldon Cooper is a hoot and a holler.
It's a weird one. As I said, I was middle ground with the film. Like, I embraced it and I took a knowledge. I was like, okay, it's a different spin. But this is me, and I have to take myself away from it. I still don't find a lot to hate from the film. It's another one that I'd have to be like, guys, please comment below, because I need to know. Maybe I'm going to have to go back to Rotten Tomatoes and read what their main gripe was. But it worked. It gave me enough of the, and again, maybe this is my comic affinity. It gave me enough of the drum beats to be like, I get it. I've got Eddie Brock. I can see the conflict. I know that he's a symbiote. I know there's going to be a conflict of character.
Yeah. So
I get that part. There are certain bits I'm like, okay, he's part. Well, I can't call him a cannibal because he's not eating his own kind. But there are parts that I'm like, okay, I didn't know Venom done that. So it was weird in some areas, but I embraced it. I don't know what it's like to a non-comic book fan. But
maybe people were expecting it to be some sort of second coming of Deadpool, because it was very R-rated, and at the same time, I actually think it was funny.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. In honesty, I cannot.
Like, I thought the relationship that he had with Venom, with the symbiote, I thought was
on
perfect.
Point. It was
so on point.
It's the conflict I need.
That part which will always stick with me, and it was such a great piece of editing. And this just shows a simple jump cut from one scene to something completely different, how fucking effective that can be. It's when he's dashed up the building and he's all the way at the top, and he's in his full symbiote suit, obviously, and he's holding the paw and he looks out and goes, "This city is somewhat beautiful. Now jump." jump, Eddie. And then it cuts to him being inside, back in normal human suit, and the lift opens, and you just hear, pussy. It's so good. It's so good. No, and I love the way he was kind of losing control of himself. Like, you know, when he sees Venom in the mirror for the first time and he's like, ah! It just worked for me. It worked so
maybe
well.
It needs some knowledge of Venom to understand what Venom is about, you know. Maybe it is. I because it hits the drum beat. And to me, as much as it's spelled out to you, maybe it's because we can relate to it. While others are like, what do you mean there's inner conflict? Why does it look like Spider-Man and I'm not seeing Spider? I keep going to that because I don't get what the main beef is. To me, I know what I was looking for. I understood what I didn't get, but I still saw the drum beats of Venom. If you're completely alien to that, no pun intended, but like, yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
There is a part of me that thinks that the audience rating is so damn high because the critic reviews came out early and people were almost braced then for the movie to be bad, but they were like, it's fucking Venom. We're going to go see it. And it's got Tom Hardy in it. We're fucking seeing it, right? And then it's like, maybe it's pure speculation, but maybe the anticipation for it was at such a low point because, God, this movie got torn in U1. In the papers, on YouTube, like, it was ripped apart.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just speaking from my own experience, but I remember being in the cinema with Anya, and we're about 20 minutes in, and she sort of gave me a little grab, and she went, I thought you said this was supposed to be bad. I'm having a great time. I'm like, baby, me too. I'm waiting for the bad to come, but I'm not seeing it.
No, I get it. I'm not sure, bro. I really don't know.
All right. So that was my number 2. Then what's your worst?
Gemini Man. 26% audience, critic, 83% audience. I don't know where they got the 83% from. I felt. Have you seen it?
Oh no! It said Ang Lee, and I was like, nope.
Yeah. It just lacked the emotion. It was cool to have like Will Smith as the ultimate sniper. And, you know, the only way to stop this man is to bring himself, you know, to challenge his younger self. So, you know, it's like a younger, faster, more accurate eye. It just lacked the emotion that I think it needed. And it bored. I just couldn't take it in. And then it started to, as Ang Lee does, bring the emotional side into it. But it was weird. I say it lacked depth, but then it lacked emotion. Or it got too emotional. It just was like, really, you spun it that way. And, oh, we're going to do that, are we? Okay, then. Yeah. It pissed me right off, mate. Pissed me right off. I just, bear with me a second. What was the score again? 26%. I would still be rotten, but I'd go at 50. I wouldn't go that low, but I don't know where would I give it 83. You're lucky to get 50. 55 the most. No, shit for me. Yeah, no. Couldn't work. Could not work. What's your worst, bro?
Oh, easy choice. Glass. 36% critic rating and a 67% audience rating. To this day, I am convinced that audiences saw a different movie to me. I really am. I don't know. And I like this franchise. Like, I'm not the biggest M. Night Shyamalan Hammerman fan, but there's bits he's done that I really like. Weirdly, The Sixth Sense, I was always like... And twist, great plot twist. Love the plot twist all day. The actual movie really kind of just plodded along at its own pace. Always liked Unbreakable. Never ever understood the hate that The Village gets, because that's one I also really, really like and warm to.
Yeah.
Always liked it. I seem to be on a small island of people who like The Village, but that one's always worked for me. The one which I think is a tremendous pile of shit, which people seem to love, is Signs. That was, for me, terrible film. Hated Signs. And then pretty much everything that came after that was just like, ooh, like Lady in the Water. Ay. The one I brought up, I think it was last week, The Happening. Like, plants are the enemy. What the fuck?
I get you. I actually had a bit of fun with Glass, though. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the best, but I understood how they brought the worlds together and what they done with it. I could toy with it. So I am torn. What was the score? Sorry.
The
36.
score, let me just bring that up quickly. The score, the audience gave it 67 and the critics gave it 36.
I think
Now, here's my thing.
I can agree with audience. I could agree with audience. I think
hell no.
It's not a 7. It's not a 7. 65. Maybe 2 points too high.
It's a 4 out of 10 at most for me, mate. I think the critics are spot on with this one. I think this movie, for the promise and for the slow, methodical build-up it delivered with Unbreakable, which the first time you see Unbreakable, you're like, what the fuck's going on? Then you're told, this is a comic book movie. And you're like, aha, this makes sense now. This makes a lot of sense. I like this. Not because it's just been labeled a comic book movie, but it's like kind of that missing piece of the puzzle. It just, okay, this makes sense now. Split, I thought was sensational. Yeah. And I was just like, so Glass, it's like, okay, so we've set up a fight with Bruce Willis and James McAvoy. Okay.
Ooh. Yeah, it's when the other elements came in, it got a bit stupid for me. But no,
it's like, why would you choose to be subtle throughout your movies, other than debatably the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes of Split? But you've basically been purposefully slow, and it's worked with the story you're telling. Now you're going to be like, no, MCU, man, get the booms in. It's like, no, don't get the booms in.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. But no, I get it wasn't for everyone, but I did have fun with it. So I do kind of lean audience on that one. Right, bro. I did say this for my number 1. I did say it was before that this is the first time that we've seen Robin. Robin's coming back. This one hurt me no end. In at number 1 for me, with a critic score of 29% and an audience score of 26%. I cannot fathom what the hell they were doing. What? I cannot. 29% for Hook. This is why I say I protect my childhood. This is where I protect my childhood. Screw you, critics. No way. No way.
That is unforgivable. That is actually unforgivable.
Bro, it hurt me. I was like, what? Hook. Even the 76, I'm like, hey, you can bump it up to 80. I'm not going to argue with you. But even 85. No. 29%, 3 out of 10 for Hook.
In where?
No way. No way. And I can watch Hook tonight and I wouldn't be like, oh, I get it. It was a bit too hammy. No way, no how. Stop it. 29%. Nah. I'm protecting my childhood, bro. No way.
Rough.
No way. The story of Robin Hood as an adult.
Right. Robin Hood.
Sorry, did I say Peter Pan? I've got Robin Williams in my head.
There you go.
And they wear similar costumes.
We're back in the room.
Yeah. Peter Pan returning to Neverland and not knowing he's Peter Pan and having to rediscover the magic behind it. And it's the fights with Captain Hook. Everything is still touching there. Yeah. The Lost Boys being who they are. Rufio. His kids.
Wendy, man.
Wendy, bro.
That's like, wow.
Wendy.
You know, this taught kids about fucking time. Time is a bitch that doesn't wait for anyone. Like it.
John and Michael, all of it.
Where do you hate this film?
29%. Nah. No way.
What the fuck? Well, that's Rushmore. Instantly. Instantly.
Bro,
I'm going to be really curious to see what people say about Hook on Twitter. Really am to that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought I was about to drop some knowledge on you here with my 1, but that's just really made me go, what? I think this is going to be your walk-off moment because we both love this film. And it's with my man, your man, our man, our guy. Denzel.
How dare you diss Denzel? I'm even scared to see where this goes.
Not only how do you diss Denzel, how do you diss Denzel in a Tony Scott movie? Because number 1,
no.
Man on Fire. Critics gave this 38% and audiences gave this 89%. Now, can I tell you, never, I'm fucking going Winston Churchill here, never in the field of film have so few been so wrong about something when the average Joe has been so right.
How do
you not like Man on Fire?
If I hadn't promised the missus that I would be finished already, I would have walked off. But if I walk off, I'm scared I might not be able to come back. I'm gonna stay here, but no,
Disgrace.
no.
Absolute disgrace.
No. The no. And you know, thanks to the Rushmore, I've realized how much I appreciate Tony Scott. We've always known our love for Denzel, so this is like touching me in such a way of how dare you?
You don't fuck with Denzel. You don't fuck with Tony Scott on this podcast.
Or Dakota Fanning. I just want to go through it all. Like, this is a disrespect, man. This is a disrespect.
I'm glad I put this as my number one, because this, looking back, like the gap also, we're not talking about, it's nearly fresh. It's like, no, this is rotten. It's like, where do you get off on calling Man on Fire rotten?
No, disrespect. How dare you? I'm not having it.
Story of a bodyguard in the city with the most kidnappings per capita in the world. And the bodyguard is fighting his own personal demons, develops an almost father-like affinity for the person that he's protecting, happens to be a little girl, and then chooses to do the human, difficult thing of, my demons can suck a dick. I'm getting clean, and these motherfuckers are going to pay.
Yeah.
Where do you not like this film?
I need to hear it. Again, guys, comment below, Twitter, do your thing.
No. The audience are on point here. Like 89, well fucking done.
Critics, wherever you are hiding, come out now. I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
Disgraceful. That's the show.
I'm hurt. Right. Okay. Okay. Let's take it to Twitter, but I've pretty much got a no. Twitter's coming after it.
No, we've got to do
this week's Twitter before the Rushmore, no?
Yeah.
That's
why are we not on point today?
I have no idea. But I've kind of got an idea of what our Rushmore should look like anyway. But
I know too. I'm open to hearing what your thoughts are of the others. But fun fact, just from We Love Movies, JT's posted this today. On this day in movie history, May 23rd, 1980, The Shining is released.
A day
41
short.
41 years old.
That's mad.
Right. What's the first? No. What's your favorite movie that critics loved but fans hated? So this is from last week, yes?
No, we're doing this week first, no?
Sorry.
Audience love.
I'm really not on point. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
What's your favorite movie that audiences love but critics hate? Sorry, I do need to go.
We do this part three.
I will need to go back to last week at one point, as I said, because Chris Trengo.
Because after this.
Yeah, but I don't know if he commented on the thread or if he commented on the fucking Twitter poll. We'll see. If he's not commented on the Twitter poll, I'm still throwing him under the bus. So, what's your favorite movie that audiences love but critics hate? Right. This is just the general question that goes out before the Rushmore gets created. So, Francis Lalonde at Ballpark Frank said, investigating this question was much harder for me, at least, than the previous one. Though more of a cult popularity, I'm choosing 2005's Waiting. I'm sure that not a single critic who hated this has ever worked in the fast food restaurant sector. Fair enough. I haven't seen The Waiting. Rigmarole film put white chicks. Never been for me.
I've had a laugh, but no, I've had a good laugh with it. I'm not gonna lie, but no, I'd have to see the rating because it can be a very middle ground film, so it's not going to be on my top 10. Put it that way.
I mean, I've heard one or two people say this is their favorite film of all time. I was like, you need to see some movies. Matthew Moy at MGM Waxan put Pink Flamingos, Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, Rocky Horror, at least in its initial release. I know they are guilty pleasures. Ace Ventura is not a guilty pleasure. It is great. Just a movie fan put Law-Abiding Citizen. Have a look at the Rotten Tomatoes score. I think it's a great film. I agree.
Yeah.
You love it more than I do, but I do like it.
Yeah, I was kind of hurt. It nearly made the list, but there was a few others that were on the list and honourable that overtook Law-Abiding Citizen.
So Paul Casey at Muggins MCS put, not all critics hated it. Roger Ebert loved it. But I'd say Prometheus by Ridley Scott, one of the most visually gorgeous films I've ever seen. And I love Shaw's story, her faith and her search for meaning in a harsh universe. Yeah, I like Prometheus. I'm a fan. I'm with you on that, Paul. Gavin Mann at Gavin Mann's page put Big Trouble in Little China, Con Air, Predator, They Live, The Thing, Jojo Rabbit, Bohemian Rhapsody. Spot the common denominator in some of these. Over the top action film. We love movies at JT, but I know the critics didn't like The Good, the Bad, or Ugly when it was released, and Scarface was panned, so they are my choices. How dare you pan Scarface?
That's weird. That's weird. It's funny how stuff come out though, because those didn't even come out in my research.
It's so broad, this topic. That's the wonderful thing, isn't it? I'm sure there's many we've missed.
But this is the thing again. Timing changes it because we've got an 82% Scarface. So yeah.
Officer Jimmy at Dean 8-Bit put a poster of See No Evil, Hear No Evil. So that's a shout to you. People's Polygraph Jazz put a photo of, I think it's from Tag.
Okay.
You know that movie with Jeremy Renner and Ed Helms?
Yeah.
Vert Connegat at Cardamom Fives put Across the Universe. Andy Hart, what up, Andy? At Fandango Groover put The Shining, Worst Director Razzie nomination. That's a fucking disgrace that you would nominate Stanley Kubrick for a Razzie. Nikita, 2 stars in Empire. Halloween from 1978, poor reviews on release. Predator with a Metacritic score of 35 based on the 1987 reviews. It's a Wonderful Life, panned on release. The fuck?
I actually think that's got 100 now, on Tomatoes. So
good. History has corrected itself. Peeping Tom, so hated it destroyed director career. Haven't seen Peeping Tom. Porty Pockets. But just a cursory look at critical consensus versus audience reviews tell me critics know their shite. Thank you, Paul. Critics know their shite, and a lot of people have bad taste. Only talking about movies with less than 50% gap between the two. Hard to find many I disagree with, but I'll go with Newsies. I haven't seen it or heard of it, to be fair.
Funny enough, that came up, but I don't know it, so I didn't have the time to get into it. Or find it, should I say.
Maria Emma at Maria Emma 16 put Lethal Weapon 3. Paul Sekulic at P. Sekulic put Dead Man's Shoes, Happy Gilmore, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Die Hard with a Vengeance, and Con Air. I answered him. Die Hard with a Vengeance was panned. Sacrilege. And he answered it had 59%, which is rotten. 83% audience score. I can't understand why, as I liked it almost as much as the first film. Willis and Jackson had a great on-screen chemistry. And I answered, it is a Movie Mount Rushmore all-time favorite.
That would have been Rushmore. That would have been on my list. That definitely would have been on my list. But hey,
you fuck with that film. It's like, You don't fuck with Die Hard with a Vengeance on this podcast. Sorry.
Doesn't happen.
Kyle Wolf Comet put Without a Paddle tied with Coyote Ugly. Nicholas Gold put Dune, Casino Royale from 1967, Clue, Brazil, Popeye, The Shining, Sherlock Holmes, Smarter Brother, last remake of Beaugest, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Joe versus the Volcano, Eric the Viking, The Mikado, The Black Hole, Moonraker, Johnny Dangerously, Start Revolution Without Me. You said one.
Fair enough. No, hey.
Fair play. If you want to throw out your 10, that's all good by us, Nick. Garen W. Sparks put okay, here we go. Had to get into a little bit of a war of words here. Garen W. Sparks put, I feel bad for folks who won't watch movies because the critics say they are bad. You know this has triggered me, right?
Yeah, based on the previous, but yeah, go on.
Well, got to remember two things here. Movies are an expensive hobby for some, so people don't want to spend their money only to be disappointed. Critics are a good point of reference for many as they have a wider knowledge of movies than your average moviegoer. And Garen W. Sparks put most of your critics these days, though, are your average moviegoers. And you see, this is why I was talking about this earlier, AJ, because this is where we're going to disagree. I said, conversely, you've got guys like Mark Commode who seemingly watch every single movie they can. The latter has such a vast pool of knowledge by process of seeing so many movies that the distinction between them and your average moviegoer is clear. And Garen W. Sparks put, I don't know who that is, but he sounds awesome. Fair play to you. That is a nice conversation to have. We can have a proper convo. For your films only, put Armageddon. And I said, each to their own, of course, but not the biggest fan of that movie. Why did they teach drillers to be astronauts? Surely it would make more sense to teach astronauts to drill. You can't ignore that fact. And to his credit, he actually put something quite funny. He said, "This is a common mistake. What you've done is analyze it too much." to which I answered, "Fair enough. I should have not followed the advice of the theme song and just close my eyes."
Indeed.
All right,
Indeed.
that's Rushmore.
Right, okay. So the ones that are in my head, your number one, my number one, Hook and Man on Fire. Our common one, Venom. I kind of lean towards Ace. I wanted to do Jumanji, but I think Ace got more of a slaughtering. Just my
Man on Fire. Yeah, cool. I'm cool with these three so far. Ace is an interesting one. Let me just go through all of mine here and see if there's any Grandma, Man of Steel, but I don't want to put 2 comic book movies on there. Actually, do you know what, AJ? Instead of Venom, because the audience and critics differ so much on this one, like it's clear, like the audience like this film, right? How would you feel about putting Man of Steel on, given that the score is a bit tighter? Because it does seem to be more of a mixed opinion here. I think putting Man of Steel on would invite conversation about the people who don't like it actually saying why they don't like it.
Okay, cool.
Would you be open to that?
I'm down with that.
Okay, so let's take Venom off. Whatever. Bad Boys 2 is Pantene's Meat. What have we got for you here? Oh, Ace is good, you know. Yeah, let's do Ace. Can't really argue with that. The gap is so fucking big. We good?
Yeah, cool. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official Movie Mount Rushmore of movies that audiences love but critics hate, in no particular order, is
Man of Steel.
Our second entry is
Hook.
Our third entry is
Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls.
Our final entry into the Movie Mount Rushmore of movies that audiences love but critics hate is...
How dare you? Man on Fire.
It's such a disgrace.
It's a shocker. It's
such a disgrace. Like,
that is nuts. That is fully nuts. I'm lost. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay, guys. So we put this out there because we, the Silver Screen Dudes, had the ultimate challenge of trying to figure out the top 4 films that the critics got wrong. Let's call it that. You know, the audience got right. Yeah, the critics got wrong. The audience got right. Last week we flipped it. It was the films that the critics loved and the audience hate, and our contenders were.
Last week, our contenders were Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Captain Marvel, King Kong, and Hail Caesar.
Okay.
We had big vote this week. 632 people voted.
Cool.
We had not too many, just a few comments. Chris Trengrove did a double comment here. The first one, he gets a pass, nothing wrong with it. Of these 4, The Last Jedi is quite bad. I started Hail Caesar, but was quite bored and couldn't get deep into it. Captain Marvel is fun, dumb blockbuster. King Kong is great. So King Kong. By the way, the nota bene I put on this is pick the one that you actually like the most. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's the scope of the rules that we're working in. It's like, which did people like the most of these 4?
Sure.
Poorly Pockets have not seen any of these. Went with About a Boy on the on the Metacritic poll, 93%. When the poll is flipped for movies that critics hated, that audiences loved, put me down for Law-Abiding Citizen. Total trash. Way. And now enter Chris Trengrove.
I've been waiting for this.
Oh, he really got on my tits this week. So. Sorry I missed the weekend chat, was out and about the whole time, but this list is pretty meh. I don't think the critics loved either Captain Marvel or Hail Caesar, above average reception at best for both, and I was never under the impression that audiences hated King Kong.
Well, we've shown the figures.
Facts. And I said, so now my turn to educate Chris. Critics certified Captain Marvel 79%. They also rated Hail Caesar as 85%. So both were categorically loved by critics. Audiences rated King Kong 50%, which on Rotten Tomatoes is rotten. Feels good to school you for once. And then here we go. If you go by Rotten Tomatoes, which only tells you the percentage that give a movie a passing grade, I prefer Metacritic, which offers a more weighted response. Hey! Captain Marvel, 64, Hail Caesar, 72. So not exactly in the love range. And I said, what are the audience scores on Metacritic? Because he's only given me the critic scores here, and it's audience and critic. And he says, user scores Metacritic, King Kong 74, Captain Marvel 29. Hail Caesar 60, The Last Jedi 41. But I wouldn't. But then here's my favorite part. So remember in the last tweet, he's put, if you go by Rotten Tomatoes, and then followed up with, I prefer Metacritic. He said this. Yeah? And then when I've called him on his bullshit, because I'm sorry, Chris, if I love you, I love the fact that you interact, but
we actually do.
I am calling you on the bullshit this week. You've just gone from saying I don't like Rotten Tomatoes to then saying I use Metacritic, only given me the critic ratings, and then I've challenged you in the interest of fairness and said, what's the audience rating? And then you've given me the audience ratings and followed it up with, listen to this, my favorite part, AJ. But I wouldn't use it as a metric either.
So then how does one gain a measuring stick, please? Personal opinion.
Polling gets badly skewed by internet trolls. I'd use box office receipts as a better metric, and King Kong, The Last Jedi, and Captain Marvel all scored well there. And I said, well, you were the one who just vouched for Metacritic, big man. And hell no to ever using box office as a gauge of any accuracy, because by that logic, the Transformers franchise is one of the greatest ever. And he put Metacritic for critics, not fans, and fair with the box office, but I still wouldn't trust Rotten Tomatoes or meta user reviews. Perhaps Letterboxd. How fucking... No, Rotten Tomatoes I don't like. Use Metacritic. No, forget Metacritic. No, let's go with Letterboxd. To which I said, how deep does the rabbit hole go then? Speaking from experience, I mostly agree with the Rotten Tomatoes critics. Mostly. And they show a good spread of fans and critics assembled together. So perfect for our list. Wink. And he said, and he says, well, kudos to your list, but I don't think you can justifiably say critics love Captain Marvel or Hail Caesar. And I said, I can, based on Rotten Tomatoes scores. Very justifiably. And he said, with the amount of movies that get 90% plus on Rotten Tomatoes ratings and an 84 or 79% retrospectively isn't as impressive, unless you hold the liberal definition of the word love. And I was like, I'm out. We've gone from going, Rotten Tomatoes no good, Metacritic's good. No. Metacritic's no good, Letterboxd good. Okay, what's the definition of love? Stop it.
Appreciate hit you better. You get what we're saying. It gets high rating, it gets low rating, guys. Please, let's not be so pedantic in this. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I thought I might be able to defend Chris. I can't. I'm sorry.
No. He's dug himself into a hole here. He's vouched for something and then said, "Nah, forget it."
Yeah.
What must I do?
Oh dear. Right. Okay, guys. So
but Chris keep commenting, we love you, but that was annoying.
We do. That was a bit weird. But this is why we love Chris, because it's forever challenging. Okay, what I didn't do, guys, was my usual spiel, which is we have had the challenge to the final four.
We do have more comments. I have to read them out. Sorry, man.
No.
On Ballpark, Frank said, well, I haven't seen Hail Caesar. I agree with King Kong in that I personally didn't care for it. However, I myself love Star Wars Last Jedi and Captain Marvel. I voted for the latter because I think it's a great film that got inundated with faux general public ratings from trolls. That I agree with. At PhotoFan9000 said, Captain Marvel is a really good, one of my favorite Marvel movies. I agree. The Last Jedi is absolutely fine as a Star Wars movie. I agree. King Kong is pretty solid, but runs about 30 minutes too long. I agree. I've never seen Hail Caesar. You should. Andy Hart, What up, Andy? My man. Kong was too long. Terrible CGI at the time. Dread to think how bad it looks now. I think I can't get on board with that one, Andy.
Did he not kick off with voting for Kong in there?
No. This is his comment now. We got him that was from the previous week you're thinking of.
Okay.
Andy, I'm normally on point with you here, but I'm not sure about dissing Kong CG for the time.
No, not the CG. Time I can understand.
Yeah, not the CG. The CG was on point, man. Made by fucking Weta, the masters of digital. The other three are all excellent. Can't help thinking those who didn't like Captain Marvel are us from the same small-minded corner of the internet who didn't like Black Panther and Wonder Woman.
Okay.
And I said, small disclaimer here. AJ doesn't feel the same, but I was so about Black Panther. If we go into a long debate about Black Panther here, but yeah, it's on the Twitter poll or Twitter feed. You can check it out. ContraZoom at ContraZoom Pod put Hail Caesar is a legit top 5 Coen Brothers film. I agree. As a connoisseur of Golden Age Hollywood, they nailed that era completely. Also might be their single funniest movie too. Fair. KMS at KMSTX78, but I'm a massive Coens fan, but Hail Caesar may be their second or third worst film. It's weird how things change here, isn't it? I'd still give it a slightly positive grade. The only one I've ever given a negative review is The Lady Killers, but critics went too easy on Hail Caesar, in my opinion. Andy Hart said, time to blow AJ's mind. My Blue Heaven is based on Henry Hill. Think of it as Goodfellas 2, set after he goes into witness protection.
Thank you. I love that. Do you know what? All good.
Thank you for that one, Andy. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all good. I love it. I love the education. It's all about the entertainment. It's not only to give. It's also
100%.
to receive. And Andy keeps
Andy's knowledge is deep, you know.
Deep. It's deep.
It's deep. My team's looking up said, don't think any are great, but Hail Caesar was the best of the worst for me. I could write a 10-volume encyclopedia on all the things wrong with The Last Jedi. We got into a debate. I'm not going into it. Mike Matthews at Body Parts, but I thought Captain Marvel was a very good and also enjoyed King Kong. It was just too long. The Last Jedi is brilliant in places, but has some moments that just defy any sort of sense or logic, for sure. Carl Rorschach 2022 put, not often I turn off a movie halfway through as I like to stick it out, but Hail Caesar is up there with Man from Snowy River. No love for Hail Caesar, man. Richard Gallen put, I was 15 when I saw Peter Jackson's King Kong at the cinema. I missed Return of the King in theaters, and films like Titanic and Star Wars were VHS jobs. So this is on the big screen, was the first big epic I'd seen. For me, I imagine it was like being in the original back in 1933. That's a lovely tweet.
That is nice. That's nice. I like that.
Bedsit Cinema put, genuinely loved King Kong. I got upset at the end, which started a fight with my missus who thought it was pathetic over a CGI gorilla. Are you still with her? Sorry, I had to get that one in there. Chris Wright put, did audiences really hate Captain Marvel and Hail Caesar? Everyone I know who saw them loved them. I seem to remember it being the other way around for Captain Marvel. Again, I gave the stats and that was fine. Pedro Perez put, how is a movie with a gross of 1.3 billion hated? Guys, again, box office is not a reflection of audience or critic score or ever of quality. It doesn't have a reflection. They are separate things. James Price put, I hated The Last Jedi so much, I never saw The Last Chapter. Lol. I actually love King Kong. Never saw the other two. What? You didn't like one movie. That doesn't mean you shouldn't see the next. If you like the franchise, watch the next one. Hopefully it's better for you. Crazy idea. Watch movies. And the Coen brothers are my absolute favorites, but even after trying several times, I cannot get myself to like Hail Caesar. I'm not sure why, except I think they were trying to do too much. I would levy that criticism at the Big Lebowski. I know that's sacrilegious. Garen W. Sparks put, Hail Caesar was loved by both, and I loved The Last Jedi. I worked on Captain Marvel and didn't even like it, so I probably shouldn't fill this out. So none of the above.
Fair enough.
And I said it's not loved by critics. It was absolutely not loved by both. Critics gave it blah, 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 blah. Paul Sekulic put, they weren't perfect, but like all of these films, went with Captain Marvel. Although it's not the best MCU film, I can't understand why anyone would hate it. Preach, my brother. Officer Jimmy at D8-Bit, but King Kong 2005 is fucking awesome. I agree, Dean 8-Bit. You tell it how it is. LGB, what's that Twitter handle? At Cruzy put King Kong 2005. Matthew Moy put haven't seen Captain Marvel, but the others aren't bad. Tony Not the Tiger put Captain Marvel. Happy put a gif of Captain Marvel. Janelle Sneer put King Kong. One of 102,445 put Star Wars. Let Lucas with full control, including any tweaks to I-1 to 6. Remake the last 3 movies. His vision, not the fanboy vision. They brought back a villain that Lucas said was dead. Good movies, but not great. Could have been the greatest trilogies of trilogies of trilogies. Okay. No love for The Last Jedi. Gary Cotier put, I'm hoping someone will remake the prequels. Actually, yes. I would listen to that. Smudger7946 put, The Last Jedi was just an affront to the Star Wars franchise. It shamed cinema as an entertainment genre. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, right.
Many comments.
Many.
To get going, I apologize.
No
so,
problem.
You want to take the guessing game?
Hail Caesar's at number 4. Too much hate.
It is indeed. Hail Caesar at number 4 with 13%.
Just because there was still some negativity floating. Last Jedi is at number 3.
It's not.
King Kong's at number 3.
It's not.
Okay. Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel's at number 3 with 23%. What's number 2?
Last Jedi.
It's not. King. You know what I mean? King Kong is at number 2 with 24%. And honestly, it's a steamrolling. The Last Jedi got 40%.
I laugh because even if you hate Star Wars, you're still going to vote Star Wars, people.
You know what I mean?
You guys,
fucking jokes.
You guys will never cease to amaze me, but I love you all. Okay, guys, why is there a poll? How did the poll come about? Because we had last week's topic. We, the Silver Screen Dudes, have the ever almighty challenge to create the movie Mount Rushmore. We take 10 films each, and then we come about and we have, thank you very much for the signal. It's on video, so I have to acknowledge it. For those who didn't do it, my head went out of shot there. But yeah, we had the coming in.
Still out of shot.
There you go. Oh, okay, here I am a bit low. Right, so here we go. So basically, we have the challenge of taking our 10 movies each, breaking it down into the top 4, and then we throw the challenge over to you, where you guys will have to take those 4 films, and in the words of Highlander, there can only be one. You must vote for that one movie. So us, as well as JT from Movie Polls for You, will put out a poll of the 4 movies once again. Those are Hook, Ace Ventura 2, When Nature Calls, Man on Fire, and Man of Steel. So, guys, you can't vote twice because we'll be retweeting what JT puts out, and that is how you will be able to cast your vote. Normally, I will say last week our topic was, but we've covered that. So, do head on over to @Movie Polls for You or @Movie MT Rushmore, where you will cast your vote, cast your comments too, and as promised, where I will have more time to myself, we will read them out, and it won't be felt so rushed. I'm 5 minutes away from being single because I'm an hour into overtime, but hey, that's how it goes. I love you guys just a little less than I love the missus. I was going to say equally, then I thought no, that will be single talk. So guys, that is the one. Do head on over to @Movie MT Rushmore or @Movie Polls for You. Also, please @the Silver Screen Dudes on Instagram, Silver Screen Dudes on Facebook. Nico, what else are the Silver Screen Dudes up to, please, sir?
At the moment, we're doing quite a few gaming live streams, which you can find on our YouTube channel, featuring the terrible narration of yours truly, playing games pretty badly because I'm an old cunt geriatric now, not as looking good as I was when I was younger, but I'm hoping it still brings you some edutainment. This podcast, if you are listening to it in podcast format, is available in an audio visual form on the YouTube channel. Head over there, Silver Screen Dudes. And if you're watching on YouTube and you want to listen to this in an audio form, you can download on Spotify and on all podcasting platforms. Just search for Movie Mount Rushmore. You can find everything that the Silver Screen Dudes are doing at www.silverscreendudes.com.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Love you all as always. It's coming up to 2:40, so I appreciate you guys sticking in there, but hey, it needed to be discussed. So until the next time, I am the one AJ Anthony Jordan.
I'm Nico Lero. Shout out to my Nicoholics.
See ya.
See ya.